wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop coming.
Well, hello, welcome everybody. Look at that. My head is almost chopped off on the camera. I put it too low, but I'll be leaning over. You guys will be able to see me as I lean over. Working on an original piece that I penciled, and I'm now inking for a commission for a viewer of this channel. And so I'm working on that right now. So we can go through and see the Flash. It's the character that he wanted. I asked when he asked me to do a commission, I asked, sure, what character would you like? And, I'll draw it. What would you like for me to draw for you? And when he said the Flash, I went, whoa, that's a tough character because, well, I've never drawn the Flash before. But I'm up for anything, I like challenges. Whenever I'm challenged, I rise to the occasion, So I thought, let's do this. Let's draw the Flash. So I penciled it and then printed out non-photo blue so I can ink over it. And it's original inks over my pencils, but I draw digitally. And I don't have much supplies for traditional penciling, but I do have a lot of supplies for traditional inking because I've gotten used to just doing my pencils digitally. So I just do that. But I am at some point going to have to get some more pencils so I can draw traditionally a little more. I really don't have very much right now. All I have is some of the harder leads, but I like to do my preliminary drawing, my gesture drawings, or the underdrawing with a softer lead pencil so I can get more of a looser feel. But since I don't own any of those pencils right now, I just have the hard lead. And just go with what works, I'm set up for digital, so just pencil digitally where I'm comfortable, and then do original inks with the quill, which takes a lot of skill. It takes a long time to master the quill, but I'm patient. Like I said, I like challenges. Life is full of challenges. You get used to it. It strengthens you, and if it was easy, then everybody would be able to ink, with the quill, which honestly everybody can. It just takes time. But I get why some people give up fairly early on. It is a little frustrating, I guess, because it's a bit of a challenge. But you stick with it like anything else, and you'll get to the point where you can really master it, and get really good at it. So here is some of the work right now. Right now I'm using a 102. I jump around between a 102 crow quill and a 108. The reason I jump around with it is because the 108 gives me a bigger line, and I can get through the drawing a little faster since this is a big drawing. It's on an 11 by 17 artboard. So if you guys look. And hey, the gaming mechanic, man, appreciate you being here, man. That is awesome. Your package went out, so let me know what you think once you get it. You should have a tracking number already, be able to track it. And just want to show my appreciation. You know, you come by, you watch the channel, appreciate your support. You know, I appreciate your kindness, and I wanted to reciprocate. And, you know, just show that I appreciate all that. So since I'm basically putting down the same type of lines I would put with the crow quill, but these lines have to be a little bit bigger. And if I use the crow quill, it's a little smaller. I'd have to fill in, you know, more areas of with the line work and scratch into the board a little bit more. So it's just easier just to do it with a bigger quill that holds more ink, and I can just get through these things pretty quickly. So it's the reason why I'll jump around on different onto different size of quills. I mean, that's what they're made for. You know, it's not just a 102. You use use whatever works for you. You know, I mean, if you prefer inking with finger paints, you know, by all means do that. I mean, that's what works for you. You know, if you you know, and I mean, you know, and seriously though, if you honestly, you know, if you're inking with microns and stuff, you know, that's fine. You just work with what works for you, your art, what you're comfortable with, what which type of line work you want to achieve, and you stick with it. I'm gonna move around a little bit because I'm gonna let that dry. I really don't have a real particular, well, I guess I do. My work style, my workflow is I don't really ink like one corner and work my way through. I move around the page just based on, you know, what type of lines, which tool I'm using, and what type of lines I want to throw. And so what I do is I'll ink one corner, but I rotate the page so that I don't put my arm or elbow back down on it and accidentally smear my work, you know. So generally, when people, do commissions or commission an artist, it's at a different rate, and a lot of times the artist won't really put in the type of work into the commission like they would for interior pages. But I know there are a few artists out there, like Gary Martin, puts in 110% in everything he does. His work's beautiful every time. So I'm a big believer in that. You do your best, no matter what they're paying for, no matter what, do the best that you can, if, as long as you have the time, but I try to. So I'm using a Hunt 102 with some India ink. My dogs are going crazy. They bark at all the wildlife out there. Our big guard dog doesn't let anything nearby. I go out there and see that it's just like a baby squirrel or something, and the big dog just goes crazy. Let me see how I want to handle some of the line work there. Yeah, it's not bad. So this one's for a viewer of the channel, like I mentioned earlier, and I hope that he's happy with it when he gets it. I ended up putting more work into it than I had planned. Took just a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it. It'll probably be my last traditional piece of art. I think I'm gonna get back to doing more digital stuff, when I do my covers and all that. But for my book, I want to I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I think I'm gonna print out my pencils like this, ink it traditionally, so that I have an original for the cover to my book. At least one cover. I may end up doing all of them that way, but I'm not sure. That way I'll have an original piece, and I can offer that in the campaign. Be a nice way for somebody to get some original artwork from me, because I don't plan on doing traditional work very often. So I keep a little baby food jar to my right, filled with water, and I can clean and dip my nibs. I'm going to do the outline around the flash here, just to kind of get that out of the way here. There we go. I wasn't putting enough ink on the quill. So I will be finished with this today. Thank you to everybody who's been giving me commissions. I do appreciate it. Probably won't do too many more commissions. I want to get back to working on my book. Got really great ideas that I want to get out there. And it's interesting, you know. I like to post like an image of something of a story idea that I've got. Post an image, and it's so neat. So many people come up with like their own story. Like they just start going, oh, they try to guess like what it is, what the story is. And really, to be honest, not very many people have really guessed what my new book is. They just see it and they just assume that the story is one thing, when really it's. And I don't try to convince them that, you know, say no, it's not about. It's really not about vampires, really per se. That's really not the story, you know. It's, but I don't want to give away my story. I just go, oh yeah, you know, like I just leave it alone. And I think people are going to be really surprised when they read it and see that it's a story about retribution and humanity. You know, you create a story and then you can add anything to it. I could have made it in space. I could have made it with aliens and been in space, and it would still be the same story. But I decided, you know, I wanted to put it in the Old West and, you know, create a really cool story of about retribution, the story of one man, you know, in his journey, you know, as he goes through and he's made decisions that, you know, he's trying to change it with the way he was. And I just think it's neat. You know, a lot of people, I mean, the response I got from that one image, so many people thought I liked it. I mean, so many people think it's a great concept. And I go, wow, I haven't even said what the story's about yet, you know. But that's all right. I like that people see it and it inspires a story in them. So it lets me know I'm in the right place, where they look at it and go, oh yeah. Or I get one person who'll say, oh man, I love when there's vampires and cowboys and stuff and the Wicked West and all that stuff. And I go, yeah, well, that's not really my book. But you can tell it's already inspiring people. And it's like, yeah, there's going to be a vampire in it. I mean, but it's a pretty simple story. It's a pretty basic story, you know. I think when you create something, we always have difficulty making a simple story. You know, a simple story is harder to achieve than, you know, we always want to write a complex story. But a simple story is harder. And that's really what mine is. It's pretty simple story. I just chose things like cowboys and you know, werewolves and stuff like that because vampires and things that go bump in the night, because that's an easy concept for people to understand and comprehend, because we're familiar with how vampires work, you know, and werewolves and witches and all that stuff. You know, I got all that stuff in my book. But that's not really what it's about. That's not the story. That's just, you know, some of the theme, you know, which really isn't. What's important is the story, you know. Which I think make all the great comics, you know, great storytelling. It's always in the character, and it's in what your character does, what your character, you know, is your character ambitious, you know, is your character curious, you know, that, like the Flash right here, you know, people have really, you know, you know, he's been in, you know, group books, and people follow the character. People follow him in his solo title, because it's, you know, it's what we like. We like characters. That's what's really important. And I'm excited to, you know, write my first book, my first story. And I've got tons of ideas. You know, and, you know, Westerns have been done even with wild, kind of a wicked West, you know, stuff like that has been done, but it's all in how you tell your story and what your character does. You know, that's the main thing, because all stories, you know, places and have pretty much been done at this point. We've been telling stories for thousands of years, so pretty much there's really no real original idea. Take The Sopranos. It's a mob movie, right? It's a TV show about the mob. And you can ask, well, how is that any different from The Godfather? You know, it's all in how the writer and the creator told this story, and all about the main character and what that character does. You know, how he wrote it in a way that we were able to sympathize for this character. I mean, basically, they, you know, the first episode, they show a hit. I mean, there's a hit on there, and we sympathize with a murderer, but with murderers, you know. But you know, it's still it's a mob movie, but it's different than The Godfather. So just because it's in the same genre doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the exact same thing again. You know, I love werewolves. I'll draw anything. You know, if anything has a werewolf in it, you got my attention. So I mean, definitely put in werewolf in my book. You know, the Wolfman and a Teen Wolf, and you know, all those have already been done. They've been done, you know, dozens of times. But it's how you tell a story. You know, the Wolfman. There's, I don't know, 15 variations and movies throughout the years. But it's how you tell the story that makes it really interesting. So you should never fear a challenge. You know, if you come up with something and people go, "Oh man, there's tons of alien movies about aliens and comics about aliens," well, do your version of the alien. Superman's an alien. That's a different version of a alien. Yeah. Even with art, you don't have to do. People say, "Oh, you know, the quill's an old tool," you know, but it's whatever you like, and whatever art style you want to do, you know, do it. You know, you don't have to follow the masses out there. You know, although, you know, I mean, it's commercial art, and I am writing and coming up with stories that are marketable. I'm writing for an audience, you know, because if it was up to me, I would continue just doing Dragon Rage. But, you know, the fans and viewers out there, you know, they're asking for, you know, they want something different than the Dragon. So, you know, their feedback is very important to me. So I've got tons of different ideas. I'm not sure yet really which one I'm going with, but so far the cowboy one seems to be the biggest. Got the biggest response. It's already picked up a detractor from it. Somebody trying to come in and sabotage and trying to detract, you know, which is telling me I'm on to something really good, you know. got really big positive response to it. So. I posted an image of my from my concepts, because right now my story is still, it's still in the conceptual stage. So, I can't really say like, oh yeah, this is going to happen for sure in the book, because as I go, I've already written 3 versions of my book. Because I think that's the way you should write a story, is to write your story and then write another version of it. To kind of get a better understanding perspective of the type of story you want to tell. So there's nothing really set in concrete yet. It's still pretty fluid, But I did post a concept of the character where I have the cowboy, his face on one side as a human, and on the other side as a wolf, as a werewolf. And then somebody pointed out that there was a comic book called Grave Robbers or Grave Diggers or something like that, and that it had a character on the cover, not exactly the cover like mine, but they had a character who they had his face split like that. It was a cowboy and on one side and werewolf on the other. And I like to have original ideas and concepts, because there's no reason to copy and try to copy another story out there, ideas. I mean, you don't have to do that. And so I don't ever want mine to be like anyone else's story. So whenever I see things like that, I go, well, I want to do things differently. So I try to challenge myself to come up with different concepts, even in the imagery, and I want to do my story differently than the way that people would normally do a Western and werewolf. It's what I did with Dragon Rage. We told a different kind of story of, all that people knew were Dragonborn. It's all they ever knew. And we told a whole different story with a different mythology, kind of. So I want to always challenge myself to do things, differently, and try to be as original as I can. But when it comes to the Old West, people have put sci-fi in it. There's one that is aliens versus cowboys. They've already done sci-fi. There's one with cowboys and dinosaurs. There's one with cowboys and a specter, which Aaron Lopresti's doing one that's like a spirit of a cowboy. They've done that. There's been vampires. There's been cowboys and revenants. There's been all kinds of things. But it's really however you want to tell your story. So just because there's been, ghosts or vampires or werewolves in other stories doesn't mean that I shouldn't use them in mine. I can do my version of it, and tell my story. I believe in the comic book industry. I love it. I love this medium. I want it to survive. I'm here to produce good work, good creative work, and do the best art that I can, the best stories, because I believe that's what's going to save and keep the comic book industry alive, is to put in, the best work that we can. And I don't understand these people who come around and try to detract and are trying to, destroy the comic book industry when they don't really even read comics or care about comics. And they're trying to detract and discourage creators, This is an American medium. It's a big part of our history, and do we want that gone? I have to even go as far as to think they might even hate America, especially the in comics. I want to do an Old West for several reasons. For me, I want to do one in the Old West because that's American history. That's what America is. We have the cowboys. I'm Texan. Cowboys, were a big part of my upbringing. My father loves cowboys. He loves the cowboy movies. I grew up with westerns, so I have a big a big love for the westerns because I grew up with it. My father, he watches westerns all the time, and I mean, Jesus Christ, man, that man still today, Bonanza is still his favorite TV show. I mean, what, 50 years later, 60, has it been 60? No, it's 50 years. And he still watches Bonanza like it's a new TV show. It's crazy. And my mother loves the supernatural. She loves stuff about ghosts and all that kind of stuff, and I like werewolves, vampires. So I thought, I'm going to put in a lot of this, write about what I like, and draw what I like, do the book that I like, and not worried about what other people think, other creators, but I as long as the fans are, I want to ask readers, legitimate comic book people that love comics. That's your opinion matters to me, nobody else's. And ask, what would you guys like to see from me, and I do want to try to build up a comic company to be able to work with other passionate creators. I want to be able to bring on writers and other artists and, give people work, because work is tough right now. And then I can't believe there's people trying to stand in the way of that, just go, wow. I mean, not people, there's only, there's really not that many trying to detract me, but I just go, wow. I mean, I guess you don't like comics. But I always work on my craft, I'll never go away. I mean, I'll be doing comics until the day I die, I want to do comics for as long as I can, and I'll be always working in comics or drawing comics or, doing what I can. Even now, I mean, I'm taking time off for my health. I go walking during the day a lot, and I find that since I have less time to really sit and diddle daddle during the day, I find now that I get straight to work, and I really optimize the limited time that I have. I've got to, my health is a priority. I got to prioritize my, things in importance is, my health. So I find now that I'm more focused. When I sit down, I don't have creative block. I just go at it. I just start creating or start drawing or, and I find myself more inspired now than ever before. Now that I've really taken a break from crowdfunding, I've just taken a small break and taken that pressure off. Somehow now I'm just like, I can just concentrate on creativity, and so maybe that's what it is. Maybe sometimes we pressure ourselves that we want to, do a masterpiece of art, but we got to produce art on a schedule. So once we accept that not everything is going to be a masterpiece, I think will alleviate that stress, and I produce more work, and I'm having fun. I'm even fitting in stuff for fun in between. In between this, I'm inking some other stuff just for the sake of inking it for fun. Drawing stuff for people, just working on my own book. And then I think too, as I get trolled more and more, it makes me focus. It gives me like the drive. I know that when people troll me, they want to try to discourage me, but honestly, it brings me back in. It gives me the passion. I go, oh, wow. So, Satan's attacking me for a reason. He's trying to get me off of, God has something great planned for me, and I just go, well, I'm on the right track. So I need to stay focused. But it's when I'm left alone, it's like, oh, then I get in my own head, which is, I can sometimes be my own detractor, or I can be my own, enemy. Sometimes I'll think, am I actually any good? But when I get trolled, that's when I'm like, oh, all right, man, you trying to bring me down means I'm going to push forward harder, do even better work. I don't know about you guys. What motivates you? What gets you back into the creative juices? Gets your creative juice flowing. But I love the medium. I love just doing art. Art makes me, it's nice. It's very therapeutic for me. I really don't fatigue on a piece. I love doing the art, and I stay excited about it all the way through. I don't really know much about the Flash. I've just seen people draw him many times. I saw Jim Lee drew him, and he drew him. They come in at the camera, and he drew the Flash, but with closed fist. And I just thought, I don't think he would close his fist to run. I think he would try to be a little more aerodynamic. So discovering the drawing has been fun for me, figuring out how I would draw this character and how he moves, how to do all the lightning effect. I think the lightning is like the kinetic energy. He's building up momentum, builds up this energy, and I just think, man, that is an awesome character. I actually do want to do a superhero. I'm starting to get into superheroes. I've never been into superheroes. I've never drawn superheroes. So I want to maybe start doing some superhero stuff now. Starting to think about it. But people really like the way I've been drawing a cowboy there. So I do want to give people what they want, So if you guys are wondering, just working on a piece here. It's a commission piece that I'm inking away, and I'm inking with a quill 102. Quill inking with India ink, and I'll try to get through the chat as much as possible. Let's see what Ambience Rado says. Do you print the sketch in non-photo blue on A3 and use a template for the ruled sides? I've been using a deleter before ruled paper, and if you print the sketch on paper, does that mess with inking? Well, this one was done digitally. I drew this in Clip Studio Paint. Then after Clip Studio Paint, I took some DC artboard that I had left over. You can still see the DC logo and interior stuff. And I stuck that paper, which is it's actually, I think, a 3-ply Bristol board. I want to say it's actually Strathmore, maybe a Strathmore 3 to maybe 500 series. I don't think it's a 500 series. It doesn't feel like it. It feels really smooth. It's a really smooth paper with a little bit of tooth, but not. No, this one's pretty smooth. So it's I would say it's about 100-pound paper. It's 11 by 17. The standard comic book stuff, and I just printed it out non-photo blue in there on the artboard, fed it through my inkjet printer. And the cool thing about the inkjet printer, even though the inkjet ink is on the fiber of the paper, it still allows the ink to flow over it fairly well. It doesn't bleed or anything, which is what I was kind of worried about printing on non-photo blue, but it's working out, pretty well. And I just thought, because it was the Flash, be kind of cool to just do it on DC artboard. It's not for DC Comics. It's a commission piece. But I just thought, since it's their character, and someone who's a big fan of the Flash, not me. I mean, I don't know the Flash, but I mean the person that commissioned me. I thought it would make a nicer original piece, for somebody to hang on their wall, But it is my original art. I just did a hybrid, I guess. I did my pencils digitally, and then I am inking this traditionally, so that the person can have, a really nice custom piece on their wall that they commissioned an artist to work on, to draw, and in its actual ink, I could have done the whole thing digitally, but I don't think that would really be, I don't think that's great for a commission. I don't want that person to hang a print on their wall. I want them to have some original art. So I'm putting these little lines down on here. If you guys want to see a little closer, the little bleeds and lines that I'm just putting down on there. That's his boot. So I'm just putting lines that bleed out from the hard shadow, creating a value. I haven't inked in a while, and it's fun, actually. I'm almost starting to feel nostalgic. I've inked over many different artists, and I guess you never forget, how to use the quill, even though I've been digital for quite a long time. I went digital in 2018. And I really hadn't looked back, but doing some traditional work right now, traditional inks right now, I almost miss it, but it doesn't make sense for me to do my own book. I'm faster digitally, so if I can produce the work a little quicker and still keep the quality, that's the route I should go in. Makes more sense that way. And but I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking this is going to be my last traditional piece for a while because I got to get back focused on my book. But whichever book I go with, I have a lot of different concepts. I got one on Greek mythology. And when I did my Greek mythology book, somebody had asked me, well, you're doing a book on Greek mythology. There's a cartoon on Netflix that's called Blood of Zeus. That's with Greek mythology. How is your book any different? Well, how is that cartoon any different than Clash of the Titans? It still deals with Zeus. It still deals with demigods. What about Percy Jackson? So it's all about how you tell your story. That's going to, make it different, your characters, stuff. So I've got a book on Greek mythology that I'm thinking about doing. I've got a really cool idea for a superhero book. It's not superhero in the traditional sense. It's more like, it's a little more realistic kind of powers, the way they can use their powers. But I've got that story idea as well. I have another horror story that I've got that I'm thinking about doing. So I'm still playing with ideas and testing them out there, see what people like the most. I show little snippets from each one, get some feedback. Get something rolling, and it'd be nice to start working with more creative people. I enjoy being around other creative people. I enjoy working with people. I like being part of a team, but running and managing a team can be, it's a whole job in itself, but I still want to try and still do it, work with other creative, give other people an opportunity to show their work and giving them a platform. I'd still like to do that. And I still like to share with you guys my work process. If you guys can take away anything from here, and I'm able to help you, with your work, I'm all for that. I'm not competitive. I just I enjoy this medium. I enjoy being with other artists. I don't get competitive. I don't really rank artists. I don't really go, like even with, anybody that I work with, I don't really tell myself, oh, they're better than me. I don't rank us, I just go, oh, they're just another artist. And art's subjective, I just go, oh, wow. But there are artists whose work I look at and I go, ooh, I want to put some of that in my work. I want to figure out how they did that. But I've never really been one to really compete with other artists. I like to be around other artists. Feed off that energy, each artist has their own like style. We all have, the way we interpret stuff. So I don't try to tear down any other artist. There's no need to. It's not going to lift me up. it's just going to make me look, it'll just make me look bad, and so you shouldn't try to go and sabotage other artists or anything. You should just do your thing, enjoy what you're doing. I think that's how I've grown as an artist so quickly is I just enjoy what I do, and I still enjoy watching other artists draw. I watched Rob last night. He watched him draw on a live stream. Robert Norton, if you guys are unfamiliar, but on his YouTube channel, he does some draw streams too. I like watching him draw, watching other artists. It's really neat to see the process of another artist. And it's also interesting to see that other artists out there who have a very similar process to mine, and to go like, wow, it's so neat. I don't know this artist, but just watching them on their channel and going, wow, they draw, they do the way that they put their gesture line down, or the way they're sculpting the human head, or just things like that. And I go, wow, it's the same process I use. I just think it's neat. Or when I see somebody doing something different, I go, oh, that is interesting. And then I just go back and, I'll try it in my work, see if it helps at all, In reality, I'm competing with other artists, and especially comic artists, but no need to play mean girl games, no need to sabotage or, do any of that. I found out recently, after like 30 years that, well, I guess not too recently now, it's been a couple of years now, but I got hired at Antarctic Press and started doing work, and they were so excited about my work. And then I got the cold shoulder, and I never knew, and then of course I left and I started working, for other companies. I couldn't never figure out why Ben Dunn was giving me, he was very unkind to me suddenly, and I couldn't figure it out. Then years later, one of the guys confessed to me that he started telling them things about me, and he told me, we were kids. I don't know why, I was so jealous of your work, and I saw him later, as adults, and I was like, man, that's cool, man. At least we're men now. We're grown up, we're not doing mean girl stuff. We're not, nobody got emotional. I didn't, yell at him. You know what I mean? Like, we were both men, and as men, we, control our emotions, we don't get irate and yell. We didn't yell at each other. We had a dialogue. We talked, and he had apologized to me, and he was telling me, that he had gone around saying some stuff there. And I didn't ask, I don't need to know. I didn't ask, what specifically did you say? I didn't need that. I didn't need that information because, don't need to get all angry about it. I was kind of shocked that it was him at the studio, because he was the guy that I was getting along with at the studio, that I thought was my friend. But it's so strange to me. It's alien to me. I grew up with an alpha male father who's a truck driver. I have 5 brothers, and my dad was a boxer. He's a truck driver. All my brothers boxed. I boxed. All of us, we were always in sports and very physical, and and I just never understood, when guys would bicker at each other or play mean girl games. It was weird to me. I didn't understand it, but I guess when you have a bunch of creatives like that in a studio, we were all working together in a studio for the company. I guess you get some that get competitive. I guess I don't know if it's part of our upbringing or what, but I don't know. But I was shocked, it's like, wow. But I don't like to hold grudges to people. I like to try to forgive, and I'm human. Sometimes when I see that guy, I sometimes go like, can I trust you? And but I try not to. I don't want to live that way. If you hold in anger and it only erodes at your soul, it eats away at your happiness. So that's why I say just focus on your art on your own. Don't worry about what other people are doing and what level they're at, what jobs they're getting. It's fine. I mean, just stay focused. Do you, do your work. As artists, I guess we can feel things. We're creative. We're a little more emotional. I think because we're artists, but I don't think, you definitely don't want to be petty. Don't be petty. Don't spread gossip and rumors. And, that stuff will come around to haunt you. And you'll be known as the person that's, that's going around spreading rumors and stuff. It's a small industry. You want to be as professional as you can. And I've made mistakes too. Don't worry about the splinter in your neighbor's eye. Worry about the log in your own eye. And that's biblical. So it's good advice. And I've gotten caught up in stuff like that, where I've gotten in on some of the gossip at the studio. I've worked at different studios. And I worked at a second studio in 2016. I was working at another studio doing some art for another company. And I got to be around other people. And I butted heads with a colorist. I didn't really know the guy. I never really talked. I was always working and drawing. But he was lettering a comic book in Photoshop, and I just asked, I asked the publisher there. I said, "Hey, can I recommend something? I have a background and an associate's degree in graphic design, and I was taught use vector for crisp text." And I just happened to mention that. I meant well, and that colorist came and got in my face at the studio, and it's like, hey, so I in the first thing I just said, hey, you need to get off my face, and let's try to have a dialogue. Let's try to talk. And he was pretty irate. I don't understand why he was so emotional. He was just like, he looked like he was just, he was so worked up by it. And I tried to ask him, well, why did that upset you? And he had no idea. He didn't even know why he was so upset by it, but it it created such an emotional reaction to him. It was like a trigger, and I still don't know why he got so triggered by it. I don't know. Something in his past, his upbringing, I don't know. I mean, his marriage, I don't know. But and I just said, hey, I would just simply, what's best for the company, put out good books. It's important that people can read, and what, the words are some of the most important thing in a comic book. And when I asked him, why, why does that upset you, and he just got mad and he walked away, and then we don't talk. I don't, I run into him. He's still in my city, but I run into him here and there at conventions, but we really don't talk very much. When I see him at the convention, it's a shame. It's a small industry, and I'd like to make as many friends as I can with creative people, but I've always been curious why, creative people get so competitive with each other, and, I don't know. So when it comes to working in this industry, I've been told that you really aren't going to have very many friends, very many real friends, and I found out, the hard way that it's true. No matter how hard I try to be friends with the artists that I meet, it's very difficult at times. But I do have some friends that are, in the industry that are really good people, people that I've really very grateful to, people that are also friends in real life, my artist friends that are not only my friends online, but my friends in real life, have really been have been really good friends to me, and I'm grateful for those guys, both professionals and both aspiring artists. But I'm at an age now where I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. If I don't have, these people are my friends, that's all right. I mean, I've got a wife and family, that I love, and they're what's important to me. Their relationship and what they think of me is important to me. I really don't care about the strangers online, what their opinions are of me. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know you. A stranger doesn't like me or disagrees with, something I've said, that's fine. It's like, hey, I mean, if people disagree with what I say, that's fine. I mean, I don't mind a debate, that's cool. But when people go, I don't like you, and I go, we don't even know each other. And that's what tells me right away, it's not my problem. That's something with them. And I can't control how they feel. Can't please everybody, so I've learned to just not even worry about that stuff. But the people that I do meet in person, artists that I've met in person and stuff, I try to, be their friend as much as I can. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, But I do have some good friends still that have been good to me, have been nice, and I do appreciate them. And I appreciate the people who back my books, you guys that view my videos. The gaming mechanic, like I said, he watches the channel quite a bit. He's shown some support, and to show my appreciation, I send him out a gift, just to say, hey, I appreciate that you take the time to watch my live streams or hang out, or the fact that you back my books, I believe in, kindness, to try to show love and kindness. It's I want to be Christ-like as much as I can, but it's not easy. I mean, I'm a human. but I try to be as best that I can, try to show some compassion to people. You know, I care about my friends and their feelings, and I try not to hurt anybody, you know, even inadvertently, you know, or if I do inadvertently step on the toe of a friend or something, or offend a friend, I always apologize. I always try to find out, what I've done, because I value, friends, but I want them to know that they can trust me, and that because I want the same from them, so I try to give that, and I think it's something that we should all do. And I think some people, because we are in social media now, where people can, have the anonymity of, make an account and nobody knows where you are, your name, having an alias or whatever, and then we're right there on our couch. We don't have to be around the person, be around somebody in person. I think people are becoming much more disconnected, and I see a lot more separation between creatives and readers, and within creatives themselves, and it's heartbreaking. I feel like I'm watching, my favorite industry just, sink, and it's like, man, not saying we got to be hippies and everybody, sit around the campfire singing Kumbaya, but it's like, hey, let's have some integrity. Let's remember, that, hey, we can't scream and yell at other people because we're unhappy with ourselves and take it out on others, But, it's a small industry, and it's shrinking. Who knows where comics will be in a few years, the comic art and all that. So I'm enjoying it today. It's here today. It's still here today, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm going to have fun working on my comic. And I'm grateful for the work I have. I'm grateful that people want to work with me, and I'm going to enjoy it. So I hope you guys are too. And enjoying the work, enjoying what you do. So the quill is starting to get a little, the ink's drying on it. It's starting to get a little cluttered, but I'm going to clean it real quick. I used an old pair of jeans. I'm going to scrape some of the ink off of it, get it cleaned. And I'm going to try to do some more little lines on here. Let's see. There's not much left on here. I'm almost done with it. I'll actually be done by the end of the day. So every line that you see on here is done by hand. My hand has put every line down on here, so it takes time. You can't. You have to be patient with the artwork, and just immerse yourself in the art, into this world of art, and think about whatever it is that you're drawing and working on, and try to stay in the moment there. To be completely honest, my dog keeps triggering the camera. We have cameras around the property. I mean, who doesn't now, right? I mean, but my dogs keep triggering that one camera when I have them outside. It's because, well, this one dog, because she's so big, she can stand up on her hind legs. It's this huge shepherd dog that, when she stands on her hind legs, her paws are up on me. She's big, and she's up high enough that it picks her up as a person. The camera's like, we think that's a person. Like, no, camera, I've told you that's a dog. But a lot of times when I'm working, I actually enjoy it so much. I get into it that I don't realize. I look up and I go, oh my God, 5 hours have gone by. And so much time goes by so fast. And then sometimes I just go, whoa, I got through this drawing so fast, and I try to not have any just distractions or think about anything else, really just get into the artwork. And before I know it, I'm through the art. It's one of the reasons why I'm not trying to take on a monthly title or anything right now, because I have to remember every 2 hours to get up and walk and stretch my legs, at least for 15 minutes. I got to keep the heart pumping. And I have to take my health seriously. I mean, but even if you're healthy, completely healthy, you should get up and just stretch your legs every now and then. If you've been sitting for a while, just get up for a little bit. But for me, having a serious health issue, heart issue, I've got to make sure that that I get up and I move. But I'm happy and excited, that I discovered art, and I discovered artwork at the age of 18. I had no idea I could draw. I know that there are people that have the question of asking, is it ever too late to start drawing, to get into artwork? And the answer is no. It's never too late. I discovered that I could draw with my first drawing when I was about to turn 18 years old. I was right on the corner for my 18th birthday. And a friend of mine had some art supplies out. He was drawing from a comic book, and I drew with him. And I sat there and I drew, and my friend was so impressed by it. He just really encouraged me to become an artist. His mother was a professional artist, and she bought me art supplies. I was very poor. She bought me art supplies, and has given me, encouraged me with this this talent, this skill, which has become a gift, because God knew I was going to become disabled, and not being able to do all the things that I used to do. So now, when I became disabled, I was able to draw and spend a lot of time doing that. But now, I love it so much, but now I have to remember to, now I got to get up and walk around. So, but you work with it. But so I refer to it as a gift too. But this is a skill, and so like any skill, you have to work at it, and you have to really develop that skill. So anybody out there, any of you guys watching, you can all become really talented artists, really good inking with the quill. You can, you guys can all do this. I'm not doing anything that you cannot achieve, And if you're not able to do it yet, and the only reason that I'm doing it now and you're not able to do it yet is because you haven't worked at it as much as I've had. You haven't had much opportunity with the quill as I have. I've been inking with a quill since 1994, around there. I used to ink with repeatographs and stuff like that, but I've been trying the quill since then, and so it's it's a long time to master the quill, and you just give yourself time. You have to dedicate as much time. If you can dedicate 100% of your time, then you're going to learn faster, and you're going to learn more than somebody who's only doing this every 2 hours. But even if you're only able to do it every 2 hours, do it, draw, work on your craft, because you will get better, will improve. All of us, every artist you're watching, every artist you follow or admire, at one point we were at a beginning stage. At one point we sucked at drawing, and we struggled with artwork. Everybody. And like everybody else, we had to work at it, to get to the point where we can get professional work. And if, you're an aspiring artist, I know many people that watch me are professionals already. So I appreciate that my peers watch, and I appreciate that you guys do that. That's cool. Found out some of my other fellow inkers watch me as I work or ink or draw. But if you're an aspiring artist, just know that you stick with it, that determination, and it will happen for you. It will. What I want to see right now, what I'm trying to achieve, is that there will be an industry there when you are ready. If you're a young artist, I want there to be an industry for you when you start looking for work. It'd be nice to have a comic book industry around, when these younger Gen Alphas get older. And so I want to produce good comics, unique stories. I don't want to do stories that have been done. I don't want to try to copy and do my version of Batman, or, I want to try to do new things, and fresh ideas. I want to interact with fans of comic books, people that love this pop culture. I like people, sit back and talk to people that enjoy comics, and like, why do you like comics? Tell me about it. I like that. I like that group. I don't want to be just arguing with people on social media. I'd rather be talking to those people on social media about the comics we love, be united that way. I don't care about who's said what, or, I don't care about the latest gossip. It's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm a fan of comic books. I'm an artist, so I'm a big fan of art before I am a fan of characters. But I do have some characters that I like. And I want to be able to show other artists, if I can, offer tips and tricks and feedback on their work, or show you my work process. I want to inspire. I don't want to look to tear down anybody. I want to try to inspire as much as I can. So I'm almost done. Pretty much just a few. Let me see if I can move this around. I'll take a little break and chat with you guys for a second while I let some of this ink dry real quick. Because if I'm not careful, I will smear some ink. So if you guys have questions, I'll take a break. You guys can ask them now if you want. And I'll answer them honestly. And, any feedback or tips that you guys want on inking comics, I'll give you guys the insight to any of that. But I don't know if you guys can still see the art. Let's see. Not sure if my camera will focus better that way. I can kind of see some of the artwork there. All right. Say hello to you guys and see if you guys have any questions about inking comic books. Any at all. Let's see. Let's put this camera back over here. Sorry, there. Put that further back. Oh, yeah, you guys can see my Wetworks Wolf Protasio. That's the piece of art that I saw and went, oh my God, that is the most amazing artwork ever. And it so inspired me. And I just became a big Willis Protasio fan. So put my hat on. My hair is all messy. I don't want to look too dirty and crazy here for for that. All right. All right, I had the camera zoomed in there. I don't think you guys need to be quite so zoomed into me since I'm sitting over here now. Let me. All right. Look at that. Here comes my ASMR microphone. You guys just sit back, relax, and as you watch the magic happen, you will absorb the ability and talents of Jimmy Reyes. And you will then be able to draw like a master yourself. And Jimmy will then no longer be able to draw anything because you have taken his superpowers. All right, so I'm going to say hi. Let's see. Zever Comics is here, man. Zever Comics. For the speed lines, do you use a ruler for straight lines? Yes, a ruler, a brush, a ruler, and a quill. I used a ruler and a brush pen. For the last one. And if you guys are curious, what I do is let's say right here. And by the way, guys, Zever Comics, super talented artist himself, man. This guy, he's working on a comic book, and he showed me his comic, and it's an incredible idea. It's a superhero story. It's fantastic. He'll be coming out with that hopefully sometime early next year or so, and you guys are gonna love it. It's a really kick-ass character. So let's see. What I do is I take the ruler and I take the ruler like this, and on this one this is actually a brush pen, so it's got the brush tip to it on there. You just take the ruler and you tilt it on the side, and you rest the side of the so when you tilt it, you rest the side of your tip like this, and it's elevated, and you can just You just slide it across. And then when you're sliding it, you're using the line weight. So you put really light pressure and then go real hard on there, and you're just tilting the ruler on its side. I use a metal ruler. I just grabbed this one because it was close to me, but I will use a steel ruler. I do not use wooden or plastic because then when I use a quill, it'll dig into the plastic. And as I'm trying to throw my line, there'll be a kink in the line, and then you'll see the line. You'll see that line bump. So I use steel edge metal rulers is what I use to do any of that stuff. I just go, you know, uh, just as fast through that with that line as fast as I can. Let's see. Zal says, when you're starting out learning anatomy, etc., how often should you try to create finished pieces over studies? Honestly, the more time that you can, what I would say is to divide your time. Say you're going to work, if you only have 2 hours, then spend 1 hour working on nothing but your studies. Then you need to spend that other hour in application. So, whatever it is that you learn, you can study as long as forever. But where you're really going to learn is when you're applying what you've learned. So you need that time with that application. You need the time, not application like a program, but you need that time applying what you've learned. So you need that equal amount of time because both are important. So if you can, do your studies, gesture drawings. If you're doing any continuous, there's a nice study, a very, very continuous type of drawing. And I have a YouTube channel where I'd highly recommend. I've had her as a guest on my channel a long time ago. I don't think I have that video anymore. It was before I had changed my YouTube channel years ago. But I'll post it here. I'll find it. I subscribe to her. She's really great on figure drawing. And she teaches figure drawing. She is really knowledgeable, really, really knows her stuff. So I would say really follow her. I'd highly recommend her over any other person when it comes to studying figures because she actually understands the difference between gesture drawing, what the definition of gesture drawing. Many artists, you ask them, well, what's a gesture drawing? They're like loose lines, fluid lines. And that's really, that could be, but it's not the correct term to gesture drawings. And she's really great. And what was her name? Her channel is Saban, that's her name. Anyway, she's in Africa, and her name is Saban. She's in like South Africa or something, and she shows different techniques to. Is the microphone moving around? She shows different techniques on working on your gesture drawings. So when you work on your figure drawings, there's the continuous one where you get a ballpoint pen and you don't pick up the pen from the paper. You just keep working the shapes, and your continuous line. You never pick up the paper. You never pick up the pen from the paper. Most of the time, you're just looking at the figure reference that you're drawing. If you're drawing from life, you're mostly looking at the figure, not your paper so much. And that's a really good exercise. She has all that stuff on there. So I'd highly recommend, learning anatomy from her. It's a really good channel. So I really can't help stress that enough. I know I repeated myself a lot there, but I want to stress that how helpful her channel could be to figure drawing. And then you can look around and find somebody else who will teach you perspective. And you've got my channel where you learn inks and things like that, or somebody talk about the business of comics and stuff like that. So if you go around, you study, but then spend equally as much time putting it into application so that you study. Let's see. Oh, that's a good idea, Sam Reeves. Oh, so let's see. Let me go back up and say hi to you guys. Omar 911 says digital inking
will replace it. You know, it is a craft and a skill that is going the way of the dodo bird. It is these dip pins that I'm using have been around, you know, artists, you know, back, you know, 300 years ago, you know, we're using these tools. These tools have been around, you know, for nearly almost 300 years. You know, these steel metal tip uh, nibs. I have a video on my channel if you guys want to watch. Sometime you get a chance, go in the library of my video where it's the history of the quill. Talks about some of the old first quills that were used and the companies that were making them. When I did my research and started to find out, you know, the history of where these dip pins came from, and started to find out, you know, where these things, how far back they went. And then, of course, they originally started even further back. They would take a crow's quill and would cut and make their own, you know. They would take hawk quills and all kinds, and would make these quills and would dip in ink. And we're mostly using it for calligraphy, but many people discovered that they could use it for illustration as well. So it goes back, I mean, very, very far. And to think that someday it's just going to be a skill and a craft that's forgotten, because digital now is just fast, it's convenient, and you don't have to devote as much time to it. You know, you know, I'm contributing to that by creating digital brushes. You know, I've created digital brushes, and if you guys are interested, just go to my Gumroad at Jimmy Reyes Art on my Gumroad, and the brushes that I created, they do all the work. You really don't have to worry about mastering that brush. You just have to all you have to do is just train your eye for line work, and the brushes do all the work. Now it's so easy. Now you can just be an instant master, you know, just from using a digital inking brush, you know. And Chuck Gibson, have you ever tried Eon artboards? Yes, I was sponsored by Eon. They had sponsored this channel, and I did reviews of their artboards, and I was using their artboards for everything that I was inking over. And then when I inked some of Brett Booth's artwork, it was on Eon artboards. You know, he's a big fan of Eon artboards, and to be honest, they're fantastic. They're fantastic. They're closest that you will get to the old image artboards. But then when I started inking Dave Finch, Dave uses Strathmore, and I did get to ink Dave on a couple of DC artboards, but the majority of what he pencils on is Strathmore. And to be honest, Strathmore, you know, I'm not trying to take any business away from Eon. If you can afford the Eon, I would say get it. It's great, 5-ply, you know, plate artboard. It's great. But Strathmore, you know, is much more affordable, and you know, it's a bigger company, and it's very good quality for very inexpensive. There's one that I showed on my last stream that was a 300 series you can get on Amazon, and I mean, I think I bought it for like $12 on Amazon. Bought a whole pad of 20 artboards, and they're fantastic, man. They're inking on that stuff. I mean, it takes the cool. That's, you know, very, very close to what I'm inking on right now. I'm inking on a DC board, but, and to be honest, some of those DC boards, I mean, I had to fight the board sometimes when I was working on it here. I didn't know how it would. I've never printed on it, so I didn't know how it would take the inkjet ink when I printed it out, but it did fine. It printed on there, and did have some areas where, I mean, in the artboard where it's not as, I would say, use a Strathmore. It's amazing, but Eon, definitely a good board. The game mechanics is, damn, that looks good. And we got Ian Parker Art. He says, hi, I hope everyone is having a great day. First time here, and I already love the stream vibes. Wow, man, thank you so much. I appreciate that, you know, that you guys are here. I do often get new people. I do appreciate that. And then when I did my book, a lot of my backers were new. They were telling me, wow, it's the first time I've backed a book. You know, it's I've never backed a book. I mean, they're comic fans, but they're used to going into their local comic store, and they say, wow, yours is the first book I've ever backed over the internet. And man, that was really, really good. You know, I really do appreciate that. And Zebra Comics says, looks great. Another one for Inktober. That's pretty awesome. And so let's see. Oh, The Sopranos never had a horse or the horse head, the horse scene in the bed. Yeah, yeah, that was a, that's a scene that's like, wow, really memorable. Screen bleed, die rot. Can't watch stream. Streamer too handsome, making me feel gay. Oh man, I'm so sorry. It's the plight, you know, of us good looking people. No, man, it's a funny joke. I appreciate it, man. So glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad you're watching the stream. And Omar 911, do you think traditional inking will go off? Yeah, we answered that one. He said digital inking will replace it. Yes, it will. That's the sad thing. John Fernandez says, what Wacom screen do you use to create your pieces? By the way, your inking skills are amazing. Thank you. I do appreciate you saying that. I I use a Wacom 24-inch Pro, the Wacom 24 Pro. That's the one that that I use, and I use the non-touch screen. These Wacom Cintiqs are very, very expensive. So if you want to get into digital inking, I started out with a Wacom tablet that didn't have a screen. It was just a little tablet, and I would ink and or draw and look up at my computer. And to be honest, it was much more ergonomic, than being on the Cintiq, because of I was keeping my neck up, straight, and I was just inking. But if you're used to having to look at your hand and looking at what you're working on, the Wacom Cintiqs are great. They're really good. They're a big investment, but I would say start out small with the Wacom tablet, like I had. Start small, and as you start to use it in your professional work and you're making money doing it, then you're able to invest the money. It'll pay for itself. And plus you can use it as a tax write-off, because it's a tool that you're using. It's an investment you have to pay to continue your business. And so I'm able to use it as a write-off. And I was also able to get the arm. I have the Wacom on a big like arm, like I have this microphone where I can I can move it around, and so that became much more ergonomic because I'm able to tilt it where I can actually sit in it with a better posture, because posture is really important, because you're sitting here for hours, your back can start to hurt. And thank you, by the way, for the compliment. But yeah, and Wacom has been kind enough. They reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in being an affiliate, or maybe having Wacom as a sponsor. So they've recently reached out to me, and you know, I'm looking forward to starting that process. They've shown interest in the channel, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. And I think because most of my work is digital now. So let me move this artwork up. You guys can see a little more of the line work while I'm talking, so at least you guys can kind of get you guys can see some more of the type of lines that are on that I threw down with the quill there. And so let's see, where are we? Joseph Cahoon, Dara says, there will always be degrees of reinventing the wheel, even in comic books. They have been saying comic books are on their last legs for over half a century. And you're absolutely right. Comics have had their ups and downs since, even in the 30s and 40s, when we went through wars and depression and, the economy, it continues to go up and down. And comics did have their ups and downs, but we are reaching an age now that we didn't have back then. Back then it was mostly, I think, due to economy and things. Today, the younger generations are much more interested in things that are electronic. They're interested in video games, and people, not just the future generations, but all of us as people, we are living in a world that is fast paced. We want instant coffee. We want instant gratification. We want things now. We want drive-throughs. We live in a much faster paced world. We want higher, faster internet speeds. We need things now, now. And I think because of that, people really, these future younger generations really aren't taking the time to read. There's been studies where they're finding that they're not sitting down reading as much as there once was. Sitting down reading books, novels. Most kids today, there are many kids today that are struggling learning to read. And people are reading text and attention spans. There's a lot more of I don't want to sound insensitive or anything by saying, but there's seems to be a spike in ADHD. It seems to be much more. People have less of an attention span now because we want short videos, and even the short videos, we're like, just give me the information, give it to me now. Let's go, like the Matrix. We want to be just download it, have it right in our mind. So comic books has a lot more opposition today than it ever has before. But I think, like you said, reinventing the wheel, and I think you might be referring to the way we produce artwork, the artwork for the comics. But as far as, as comics too, as well, I think, comics definitely needs fresh ideas. It needs diversity in genre right now. It needs new type of stories. I tried that by putting out a high fantasy book, Dragon Rage. And there is an audience for it out there, but the first audience that I tried, unfortunately, wasn't the right audience, but they were fans of my work, so they supported me, and I'm very grateful for that. But they weren't really big fans of that fantasy genre, and so I want to try to get people to experience new things and be exposed to new experiences. I don't want to just create the same old, Superman and things out there. I like to try to come up with new ideas, new things, or try to put a new spin on things that have been done before as much as I can. And so, comic books, if we can bring in a diversity in genre, and to rethink the way we distribute comic books. Right now we're going direct to consumer. We're doing crowdfunding, and people are able to make contributions, keeping artists, employed and receiving a perk, for their contribution. But and then of course, direct to consumer, people can pre-order books. You can get them directly off the internet. Some people buy off Amazon. But I think what we need to do is we really need to get comic books in a place where people are today. Comic book stores are a niche. The average person's not going to go in there. Your mom's not going to walk in there. Your sister, your girlfriend. I mean, your brothers, your cousins, or whatever. They're not just going to go in a comic store unless they're comic book fans and have been fans for years. Because today, like DC Comics, their sales were 60%, less than they were in the past 4 years. And even the people that were going in comic stores really weren't buying as many comics because the content wasn't that great, and content is king. If you guys watch the opening to my video, any of my videos, my live streams, it always says content is king, because I want to stress that, it's important as to what's in your comic book, what's in the content, the story, the characters, and anyway, so we need to get comic books into places, in my opinion, things like get them back in the pharmacies, get them back on spinner racks on the pharmacy. People think, oh, that's corny, but no, get them back in there. Everybody goes to a pharmacy at one point. Get them back in grocery stores, get them, wherever we can to get, people interested. I'm glad that they're on Amazon. A lot of people shop Amazon. I'm glad we got comic books on. We're mentioning comics, and there's channels on YouTube. People are on YouTube. Get on TikTok, talk comic books, get wherever people are, Instagram, get different places, and if you guys think of any other places that people go to in the physical world, that'd be great. We need comics there. I went to a store. I'm in Texas, so you guys may have them. They may have them even in California. Because often I find that whatever we have in Texas, you also have in California. But we have a store called Five Below. It's a store where it started out where everything was $4.99 and below. Now, now it's really, 10 below or something. But when I go in the store, I see a lot of manga in the store. They're selling manga books, posters. They're selling adult coloring books, and I think let's put some comics in here. I went in there and I saw Chainsaw Man. I saw the hottest mangas that were at the time. That were in there, and I think we need to do that for comics. We need comics in here. So I think there's still a lot of things that we haven't done, and this is why I think it bugs me to see people fighting the type of fighting that's going on within the comic book industry. It's like in Africa, and you got the wild in Africa. You've got all these animals. Like think about like the movie. Was it The Lion King? I think, or The Jungle Book or something, where the pond that they would all drink at was starting to shrink, and the pond was getting smaller and smaller, and there was less resources for them. So they all started to fight one another and to fight for their position and what was left in that water. And that's what's happening in the comic book industry. We're starting to now just turn on each other, and it's pretty sad because we're gonna destroy it ourselves if we can come together somehow and be united again as nerds, as the way we once were. We were once united by this culture, this pop culture that we enjoyed. If we can somehow do that again and try to bring life back into it, and if the outsiders looking in, if they see us bickering, arguing, they don't want that. They don't want to get in on that. There's many people that just keep walking. Sure, you get some looky-loos that get nosy, but that's not the masses. That's a small minority group that that's the minority that will not minority in race, but just that's a small number of people that will stop and like, oh, what's the latest, what's this going on. But for the masses, they'll just keep going. So until we can show that this is a fun and we are having fun, and tell people why we're having fun, let them see us enjoying pop culture and how cool pop culture can be, how rewarding that this could be, and inspiring that this could be. And it'll also get your kids to read, read comics. It'll get everybody to read. It gives you a moment of break and silence, because in the fast-paced world, we need to stop from time to time, sit back, read a book, read a comic book. And when we have that, people will come back. People will start going, what is this? This is interesting. And they're going to want to, be part of it. Special Edgar 95 says, hi, I appreciate that. And I'm sorry about the whole long-winded answers there. How are you doing today? Good. Beautiful weather outside. I may not be the most healthiest person in the world, but I'm here today. I'm grateful for that. My mom is struggling with her heart. She's in the hospital with in the ICU, but she is now able to open her eyes. She's able to, she wants to communicate with us. She's able to respond. So, that's a really good thing. It's my mom's elderly woman. She's, battling an issue with her heart as well. And we thought we were looking at the end, just a couple of days ago, and here she turns around, and so I'm so grateful, so always, it reminds me to be grateful for, the days and the times that I have with everybody in my life, even sometimes with people that I just pass by, or acquaintances or neighbors. When I see them, I try to smile and wave hi to my neighbors, because you never know what day they're having. So special Edgar. Yeah, I know Special Edgar. You were over at Rob. I know you from Rob's channel. Yeah, appreciate that, man. You popped on over. Yeah, he said, how are you doing today? And thank you. I hope you're doing good too. And it's nice. It's nice that you asked that question, because you never know how somebody's day is going, So I always try to be polite to people. I always try to treat people as, people. And even when I get trolled on Twitter, that seems to be the place I get trolled, or sometimes in the chat. I try to answer the questions, honestly, and enter a dialogue, because you're a person. But once I see that they just have an agenda, and they just have, a script and dialogue they're sticking to, and they're trying to start a narrative, I just go, okay, you're not here to actually carry a conversation, but when you are, I'll carry a conversation with you. I like people. And So I appreciate that. Thank you. It is beautiful weather outside. I have a loving wife. I'm so grateful. Roof over my head. You know, you guys watching me on this channel. There are so many things that I have that I often lose sight of. I often think about the things that I do not have and forget to appreciate the many things that I have in my life, you know. And I'm guilty of that. I do that too. So I try to stop and go, you know what? I have a lot to be grateful for. I really do. And it makes me realize, you know, and so I stop and I appreciate that stuff. Ian Parker says, "Hi, y'all. Hope everyone is having a great day." Oh yeah, first time here. I clicked on that one. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Well, let me click on that. Flash looks like some maniac chasing something. I love it. Yeah, you know, I was first time ever really drawing anything like that and trying to put momentum and movement, especially in the figure. I want to make the figure have weight. So you need to, you know, put weight. Most of his weight is down on that front leg. He's leaning forward, so the majority of the weight from the body will be on the front leg, and the back leg isn't going to have quite as much weight on it. So I wanted to try to pull that off. It's tough when you're drawing a character that you've never drawn before, you know, to try to really get comfortable with it, with the character. But you know, if I were to draw the Flash, I'd be drawing him every day or drawing him for an actual comic book. Eventually, I'd get in rhythm and I'd really start to understand the character. And the good thing is the Flash is already established character, so I've seen him in movies. You know, I've only seen the movie and the TV show. I don't really know the Flash comic, and I've seen how he moves and stuff, and that's already in my mind's eye. So if I can visualize it in my mind, I can draw it. So a lot of times, here's a tip: if you've ever sat down and you've had creative block, you go, I don't know what to draw, and the reason for that is because you have to strengthen your imagination. You don't have you don't have the image in your mind's eye. You have to visualize it in your head. You know, you have to um, think of the image, and the way that you learn to come up with stories, the way that you learn to draw more things is you have to experience life. You have to experience things in life. There are so many things out there, even musicians. A lot of them talk about the heartaches they've gone through, the struggles they've gone through, the achievements, you know, the love they've received. And, you know, they sing about life, and those are the most popular songs and songs that we can relate to because we all go through adversity, we all go through challenges, and we all have victories as well from time to time. So when you're drawing, you have to visualize it in your mind's eye, and how you do that is you have to experience life. You have to, um, you know, either I've seen many people run. You know, I walk now, but I used to run, and I've run with groups of people. I've run with, you know, neighbors. We get together and we just go running, you know, through the neighborhood. And So you see people running, moving, seeing movies. You get the visuals recorded in your mind's eye, and that's how you do it. So if you're struggling to draw anything, it's because you don't understand it yet. Once you understand how it functions, how it moves, it's much easier to draw, you know. And the same thing with stories. How you come up with stories is that you have to experience life. Think about the struggles in life that you've been through. You can take a story, you know, from my, for instance, my childhood. I grew up uh, in a home in a very, very poor neighborhood, and when I would go out and venture out and play out in my neighborhood, uh, it was um, it was a neighborhood where I would, you know, you always had a lot of dangers that were out there, and it was a very, very dangerous neighborhood, you know, type of thing where you could take that story idea and put it into space. You can just say, well, I can take this situation that I've experienced back in my life, or this miracle that I've experienced where I couldn't explain, you know, like where, you know, the fact that doctors told me, hey, you're going to die from, you know, not told me, but told my mother when I was a child, he's not going to make it. There's nothing we can do. We just don't have that type. We don't understand this type of cancer yet. It's so new. And then I miraculously heal, right? I mean, almost overnight. And they couldn't explain it. Doctors just like, we don't understand, but we want to study him. Until this day, they still study me. I still have to fill out questionnaires once a year and stuff to help them with the type of cancer that I had. And so you get this like miraculous type of thing that makes me think, well, there's just this greater power out there. This greater thing. And you can take that type of story and you can put it into anything. You don't really come up with a story idea and say, well, I want to do vampires. Well, that's not a story. I want to put vampires and I want to put them, I want these vampires to be here in this environment. Well, okay, that's great, but you need the story first. You need to figure out, okay, well, who's your hero and what's your hero's motivation? What's going to be the hero's, what type of adversity is the hero going to go through? Is your hero going to be, is he going to be a very curious type of hero? Is he going to, how motivated is your hero? Things like that. And the person, you come up with the story idea first, and then you start adding elements to it where you're going to add, you can add anything you want. You can make it anything, aliens, superheroes. You can put them in any situation, any environment. But the simple answer is, always, live life, experience life, get out. I know we draw and we sit at tables and are welcomes for hours. Get out, experience life, talk to people, meet people. A lot of us are introverts, but if you can, try to overcome that. Try to meet people, say hi to people. And I'm not an introvert. I'm an extrovert, which is weird, very unique for an artist. Most of us like to be in our own little world and not be around people. And I try to get out there and draw, and try to get away from the drawing and go experience life, meet people. And when you meet people and personalities, I put them in my book. I put the type of personality of somebody like, think about your sister, your mother, your father, the type of personalities that they are. People in your life. You could write them in your story. You don't use their name, but you take that person, that type of personality, and give it to a character, and that brings that character to life, gives them more life, makes them more relatable and human. And so those are other things, other tips into how to come up with stories and characters and stuff. Damn, he's coming out of the image. That looks great. Oh, thank you, Krabby Patty. I appreciate that. Trying to do that. Keep it really cool and dynamic. And this is actually going to a viewer here. Stealth X5 is actually the one that commissioned me, and he's going to have this, and hopefully he'll put it on his wall and not throw it away or something. Just kidding. Yeah, no, he'll put it up on his wall. I want to make it the best piece visual that, put up on your wall. I mean, imagine a piece that you've commissioned from an artist, and imagine, Stealth X5, like that, you bring a girl over, first date, right? Like when a girl you just met, first time she's over at your place, and you're like, see that piece up there? I had an artist do that. You can just flex on them. So yeah, I commissioned the artist. He's going to be like, oh my God, wow, you really? And you're like, yeah. I was like, I want you to draw this for me. And he did. He drew this for me. She's like, oh my God, that must have been expensive. You didn't have to tell the price. You just go, it was. Just flex on her. Just not impress people. All right, that was dumb. All right, Darmix. My mistake is wasting time using nibs. Honestly, it's really what you want to use and what you want to do. To be honest, nibs are slower. They truly are. Digital nibs way faster. That's the truth. And I was a traditional inker for 30 years, and honestly, I ink digitally. I can knock a page out, man, in almost half the time. I inked a cover on Dave Finch, and Dave is like a really big, heavy rendering. I inked his cover digitally, and I got it done in 4 hours, where normally it would take me about 14 hours inking with a quill. I knocked it out in 4 hours, and we got that printed and done, and met the deadline. And nobody knew I did it digitally, other than Dave. I mean, I got his permission first. I made sure he was okay with it. But I still love every now and then doing traditional, to have a piece like this, knowing that somebody's going to be able to hang this on the wall, and that when I'm long gone, there's a piece like this that somebody is going to have, um, and hopefully looking at it and appreciating it. That was his one bad day moment. Um, I missed that one. And Into Paint says, "Oh yeah, I'm a ghost now." What? Um, Not sure I missed it. Into Paint says, "I wanted to break in." I said break so loud. Why did I say it so loud? I wanted to break into it, but the politics, drama, and the barriers of entry put me off. Well, when I broke into comics in 1992, and then my first work was printed in 1994, you know, it took a lot longer back then, producing the artwork, getting the artwork shipped out, and, they had to solicit the books. They'd come out like 2 months. They solicited 2-3 months in advance. We do the project about a year before, to get a head start before they would even solicit the stuff. Even then, when I first broke in, like I said, I first broke into Antarctic Press, and I got to go into their studio and hang out with a lot of those artists there. Guys like Fred Perry's fantastic, talented artist, been done, fantastic, he's super talented guys. And I got to, be in there. But when I got there, one of the guys there told me, he said, "Well, welcome to a cutthroat industry." And I laughed. I thought, like, that's silly. It's comic books, you know? I thought he was trying to be like one of those quips that you would hear from a supervillain in a comic book. It sounded so stupid to me, he's like, because I think the tone that he used, he was like, "Welcome to a cutthroat industry." Wow. He did it like a villain, but I thought he was making a joke, but he was right. It was really cutthroat. I had people that were trying to sabotage, and people trying to, I think it's just, I don't know, their own insecurities. I mean, why would you even attack anybody? You know, it has to be insecurity. It has to be your own insecurities because of fear, or something. But I don't, I don't believe that by tearing somebody down would lift me up. It's just going to drag me down, it would stain my character, but people would know me as, "Oh, that's the guy that's always just trying to bring people down, and he's always just trying to, crash people." And today we have people like that are just, cancel culture, and it's pretty horrible. But so they told me that, and there was that back then, but it wasn't as so much in the forefront as it is today. Like social media, it's where everybody's communicating, and you see it so much more. It's everywhere. I mean, I remember Facebook. I used to see people arguing all the time. Professionals arguing each other. I'd see other people trying to sabotage each other. I'd see people that they call it detracting. It's cancel culture. That's what it is. I mean, you know, you're you're not detracting would be if you were just talking to that professional trying to derail them, really, I think. But I think, cancel culture is taking different names, different forms, just like the devil. And I think people that go through and troll with different aliases, it's the way the devil does it. He's in your ear, and he'll disguise himself in sheep's clothing. They pretend to be your friend, or they try to pretend to be nice, and they're just there. It's very wicked. It's very, very evil. And I just go, wow, I can't believe that's in society today, especially in comics. It's comic books, guys. I mean, let's have fun doing it if, if you're not having fun, you're not being creative. And if you're not having fun, you're not being productive either. So, these are my opinions, my belief and stuff. And, depends on however you feel and how you feel about things, and that's your right. I'm not telling you you're wrong to feel the way you feel. Anybody out there, if you disagree with me, you don't have to agree with, the way, or, the way I, with my opinions and stuff like that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But yeah, I see that out there, just, there's just, I can't believe it. It's comic books, I just go, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'd hate to think that there's some mental health issue out there or something, I don't know. I don't why people would even want to even do that, It's like, I don't know, maybe boredom, it's like, hey, if you're that bored, you do something productive. And when you do something productive, something you can be proud of, then you will feel more fulfilled. You know, I think I think people detract, or when people troll, I think there's a quick satisfaction and dopamine release of dopamine. You kind of feel like, yeah, but it's an instant and temporary satisfaction. It doesn't last. It isn't going to make you happy. You know, it's just this quick little thrill that you get, or you get a little bit of attention or a little bit of feedback. I know that happy people don't go around arguing with other people. You find those people online that will go around, all they want to do is argue. It's because they're unhappy. You know, if you're happy in your life, you don't want to make others unhappy. You don't find happiness in others' misfortune, you know. And so I just feel bad for those people, that do, because I really don't want to think of other people living in misery. I don't want that, it's not the world that I would like, for other people to experience. I want everybody to be happy and everybody achieve your goals. If you guys want to break in, like Into Paints, you want to get in this industry, I would like to see you be able to achieve that. I'd like for this to be, something that you're able to do. And honestly, you can. I mean, there's a lot of outlets. You can crowdfund. You can just don't even get involved in even online or even crowdfunding. Just put together your comic book, put your story together, finish your book, and then send the package out via email to publishers. Right now, Mad Cave is accepting submissions. I know that like Scout Comics, they have open submissions and stuff like that. You can send in your book and ask them if they would carry your book. Publish it. I know Antarctic Press publishes creator-owned titles. They're always looking for new creator-owned titles. So you just send your stuff in that way, and you're away from all that way. You can just do your thing. Don't worry about being online and what people are saying, and just do your book, submit it privately, and then if they accept it, then you work directly with that publisher, and get your book out there. So there's still some opportunities out there. The game mechanics says your art inspires me. I wish I would have kept drawing out of high school, but life around that time was super hard, so I had to focus on other things. Maybe one day I'll start up again. Yeah, it's never too late, and I totally understand and can relate to that. I mean, life for me, from my birth, I was born with cancer. My parents I was born into a home of two parents that struggled with alcohol. They were alcoholics. And I grew up in an abusive home. They abused each other. They physically, emotionally, mentally, they abused. When physically, they beat each other, physical violence. And they even, had all my siblings, they were, we all grew up in that home, and all of them, my parents would beat them, and when they were younger, and they would, abuse them mentally and emotionally, nobody physically or anything like that. It was simply the alcohol. My parents are wonderful people. I love them. They've changed their lives. Their lives have completely changed. And so my parents went from being people that at one time I despised to the people that I look up to now, because my mom and dad changed who they were. They changed and fought an addiction. And that, if they can do that, I feel like I can do anything, because the type of strength that takes to fight an addiction like that, unless you have an addiction, you cannot fathom and understand how difficult that is. So when guys like Nerdrotic, like I don't watch Nerdrotic show because all they talk about is pop culture in the negative. And I go, I don't like that. I want to talk about the things we love. What about the great stuff in pop culture? There's still great things. Talk about that. You guys are skipping over all the really good stuff in pop culture. But he posted on Twitter, and what I'm sharing is public. So he's already shared this. So, that he had an addiction, and, but he's overcome that and he changed his life around. And I could respect that. I go, wow, even though I don't like this guy's channel, I don't know this guy personally, so I have nothing against him personally. I can't say I like or dislike him. I don't know him other than his show. And that show is just, it's a show. It's not I don't know him as a person. But when he shared that, to me, I thought, wow, that was very brave and that was amazing. And I know how difficult that is because I watched my parents go through an addiction, and it's a hard struggles. And for the longest time, I told myself I couldn't do anything. That I was worthless because my mother, when she was drunk, would tell me I was worthless and I couldn't do anything. She would say, lots of things that unfortunately it was the alcohol that was talking. She was carrying over a lot of anger from her childhood and things, and so was my father. And it would just unfiltered, and they really didn't know what they were saying when they were drinking. And so for the longest time, I believed that, and I thought life had to be hard. I thought life had to be conflicts. I thought life had to be struggles. I thought in the way of that I would be in poverty forever. And in America, poverty is a mindset. You don't have to be poor in America. There's so much opportunity out there, and I thought that way. And once I got out of that mindset, I was able to, achieve a lot of those things. I'm not saying this about you. I'm just sharing for me, game mechanic, and I'm just saying that how I can, I understand how things are, life can be difficult. Here's some of the things that I've gone through, to give examples. And I'm sure many of you have gone through, maybe more, or you guys have gone through, I mean, everybody, life is difficult. We know that. But we don't need to have I thought life had to be conflicts. That's why I don't understand the people that go online and look for fights. It's like life is tough enough. Life, there are going to be fights out there. They're going to happen that someday you're going to have to, you may have to defend yourself. So why turn mountains, hills into mountains, why make things difficult when you don't have to, and I was that kind of person, like where I didn't know. I just was self-destructive and I was doing those things to myself. And wasn't until I found the root of it, all that was just a ripple effect. Right. But yet there is a pebble that if you throw a pebble into a pond, that pebble is the core cause of that ripple. But when you see the ripple, you think, oh my God, it's so huge. I cannot overcome all this stuff. I cannot, I don't know how to get out of this. It's just way too big of an obstacle. But really, you just find what that pebble is, what your pebble is. Sometimes we think, oh, I can never become an artist. I can't do it. Find out what your pebble is. Why, you're looking at the ripple effect. Why are you, what is causing that? Why do you think you couldn't be an artist? You can, you will be. Somewhere along the line, you've allowed something has gotten into your mind, and you've believed this false narrative that you cannot become a professional artist. You can, and you will, if you desire it and you dedicate your time to this, you will. Because for me, I didn't know anything about art because of all these type of struggles that I was going in. And like I said, I grew up in a household of boxers, so I watched my dad get in street fight after street fight. My brothers in street fights after street fights. I mean, that's all I saw. It's all we knew. And I grew up in a neighborhood where, I would walk down the street as a 10-year-old. And if I happened to look up and look into somebody's front yard, there was always somebody on the porch that would stand up and go, "What are you looking at? What's your problem?" And they would come out to the street and confront me. Most of the time, they were way older than me. I was a little 10-year-old boy, and I had high school kids walk up to me. I had a 30-year-old man once walk up to me just for simply looking at him sitting on the porch. That's the type of neighborhood I grew up in. We were constantly, they wanted to present like, I'm dangerous, don't mess with me, so because they were really insecure and afraid. There was something about them that they were afraid you were going to find out about them, because, I learned that a real man never tries to go looking for a fight, never puts down people. A real man, an alpha male, somebody that's very confident, never tries to hurt anybody, but a real man will defend himself if he has to. But a real man is kind and gentle, and people today don't really understand that that's masculinity. That's what masculinity is. It's not it's not this other destructive, volcano that's going to erupt any moment. I'm dangerous. It took me a long time to get out of that neighborhood and learn. My sister adopted me. So when she adopted me at age 13, I moved into an upscale neighborhood. I was living in a upper middle class neighborhood with my sister, and I got to meet families and kids there that were into Dungeons and Dragons, video games. My friend, who I said his mother was a professional artist, very very famous and very in her field, and they were doing very well. I mean, and he had comic books and he had all these art supplies. He would sit down and draw, and I started drawing at age 18. So I knew nothing about art. I didn't know where to get art supplies. And thankfully, I had my friend's mother who took me to my first art store. She spent $100 on me in 1991 or 19 around there. 1990, I think I was 18 years old. 1992. I broke in 93. So I started drawing for the first time ever in 92. I had no idea I could draw. And she bought me art supplies, and all I did every day, every day. I was so excited. She spent $100, which today was at like $300, maybe more. And all I would do is draw, 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 and draw. And I was just drawing from comics. I redrew pages out of Rob Liefeld's Youngblood. I drew out of Jim Lee's Wildcats. I was drawing over and over and over all day long. And when I was 18, I was about to become a father, and I had just gotten married, and I needed a job. So my wife at that time, who was a teenager as well, she got my samples, put them in the mail, and sent them over to Antarctic Press, and they liked it, and they called us up, and she answered, and she was talking to them, setting up the meeting and everything, and the whole time they assumed it was a girl artist. They didn't no idea that she was sending it in for me, because she was handling it all, because she knew that I was scared. I was nervous. I was too insecure about my artwork to ever even consider getting paid professionally. So she set it all up for me, and I went and I got the job. And of course, when I went down there, they were first confused. They were like, "Oh, we thought it was her," but they still appreciated my artwork and still gave me a job. And that took me a year, because I did it every day, all day long, every day. That was all I did. It drove her crazy, because I wasn't spending any time with any of my family members. So looking back, I regret that. I wish I was able to divide that time up, but I am still a big believer. If there's any goal you have, devote as much time. If you can devote 100% of your time to that goal, you will achieve it. You will become an artist, a professional working artist. You will become a professional singer or a professional dancer, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You have to devote that time to it. And so I started to relate lots of struggles. And then during the time, I eventually that marriage came to a divorce. We were young. We were very, very young. We started a family very young. I wasn't ready for, to be a husband. I was barely ready to be a father. Somehow I don't know. My kids are wonderful. Everybody is. I'm proud of them. They've done so much better. My daughter graduated from university, magna cum laude, 4.0 grade average. She wrote on a scholarship. She studied abroad. I mean, she is a literal genius. I just go, wow, I don't know. Like, whew, I mean, I don't think you got that from me. And then my son, he went off to the Marines at 18. He's a wonderful father. He's an entrepreneur. He's a successful businessman. He's incredible. He's the best father to his daughters. He's a very, like I said, he's the very alpha male, where he's very kind. He's very loving, but he is very assertive when he has to be. He will hold his ground when he has to, but he doesn't try to present a false, make a false presentation of, I'm unhinged, get away from me, I'm dangerous. He doesn't do any of that. He's very kind. He's very patient, and I go, ooh, man, now I want to be like my son. I look at him and I go, ooh, man, I'm supposed to be the father. He's supposed to be looking up to me. but at times I'm just so proud of him, and I go, wow, I love the way he is to his daughters. He is showing them how, strong a man can be, and how gentle at the same time a real man can be, giving them a really good um, man to look up to, so when they get married, I know that they are going to pick good men, good, strong men that are, actual masculinity, not this false of, I can kick ass. Don't mess, none of that crap. Because my son, trained killer. If he had to, he's built, he's bigger than me. I'm short and tiny. He's a big guy. He's very, very built. But and he's, man, I mean, he's very trained, and but he doesn't have to present anything like that. He always shows a smile to people, or he's very kind. He's always there when people need him, and it's, anyway. So that divorce ended. A marriage ended in divorce, and I went through a lot of bad relationships and struggles and trying to figure things out. And then I was diagnosed with heart failure, where I almost died again. And they told my ex-wife at that time, the mother of my children, they told her that we don't think he's going to make it. He's most likely going to need a heart transplant, but we're going to put him on these medications, and we're going to try. We'll see what we do. But his heart is very, very weak right now, and it's it doesn't look good for him. And my ex-wife, who at the time she and I weren't talking, she shows up at the hospital. We put aside our differences. Well, I mean, I was unconscious, but she put aside the differences and came to see me, and brought my children to see me. And basically everybody in my family were there to say goodbye to me, basically. But I pulled through, just like my mom. My mom's coming through now. And it's by grace of God. It's amazing. So anyway, I had all that, and I had to take some time off and recover, and eventually I respond to medications. I get better. So as I'm getting better and better, I had a lot of time to rethink everything, think my life, rethink of things. And I thought to myself, this whole time I've been an inker because I was afraid that I could not become a penciler. And I thought, no, I think I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to be a penciler, and at the same time, I'd only ever inked comics part-time because I had kids, and I needed having a mortgage, and I needed a 401k. I needed benefits. Kids need braces and all kinds of stuff, so I had to have medical benefits. So I always worked in comics part-time, and I just did like 4 books a year, something like that. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I want to do comics full-time. I'm gonna do it. And I started putting videos on YouTube. And so if you guys are watching, you're wondering where I'm going with this story here, is I'm hoping to inspire you, to tell you that no matter how difficult life is, um, it will pass. It will. And, the storm ends, and the sun does eventually shine, all those bumper stickers. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here to you guys is that get out there in social media, if you can. Even though there's a lot of trolls and a lot of detractors or whatever, just ignore it. Don't respond to them. Just ignore that stuff. Post your work. People see it. Stay positive, because those same editors see how you're interacting with other people. So if you go out there and you're arguing with other people online, they see that, they will skip over your work, no matter how good you are. So I put my work on YouTube. I was showing videos just like this. David Finch saw my video, me inking over him. He was looking to learn how to ink with a quill. And so he started looking up videos on YouTube. At that time, I was the only guy showing how to ink with a quill. The only person with quill experience inking with a quill, inking comic book art. He found me, saw my work, and he offered me a job. He said, "Hey, can you ink me on covers?" And they reached out to me, so he brought me into the big time. And I was working mostly as trying to prepare my pencils to become a penciler, but I was still able to ink. So I was still doing inks at the same time, and it was that video that got me work. So don't ever let the negativity and discourage you. Try to, as much as you can, devote your time to your craft, put your work out there. Because I was on YouTube since, I don't know, 2005 when YouTube started or something like that. And I had been posting my work, my inks. I had finally decided in 2016 that I was going to create a channel. I had a YouTube name, but I never posted videos. And I thought, well, I'm going to start posting videos. And I think it was about maybe about 6 months of posting a video that Dave Finch saw it and he hired me. And I'm so grateful for that. And he brought me in, he introduced me to other editors, other artists. People got to see my work. I got to ink over, even after that, I got to ink other artists. I got to ink on Avengers for Marvel Comics. I inked Power Rangers, Ghostbusters. I mean, I got to be on so much. I got to be on a issue number one for Kyle Higgins. Dave Finch and I did Radiant Black, the cover to Radiant Black issue number one. We did that first cover, and I got to be part of that. And I've got the original inks hanging up on my wall, and so proud of that. And all because I took a little chance, just to. And I really be honest, it was just me inking. I didn't even send that work in anywhere. It wasn't work to be published. It was just practice inks that got me work, that exposure. So, post on anywhere you can, anywhere, TikTok, show some short videos, show your work, Instagram, not DeviantArt. There's another one. I forget the name of the, do that. And so, you'll be surprised, but I understand totally. Life is hard. I can't relate to exactly what you've gone through because only you have gone through what you've gone through. But don't let that ever tear you down. And no matter how old you are, I don't know how old you are. I mean, I know your real name. I mean, because you and I've chatted via email, and I appreciate that. But I don't know how old you actually are. But no matter how old you are, I'm 50 right now and really just starting to really pencil. I mean, I'm starting to draw my own stuff. I drew this flash piece here that we're looking at on the table here at age 50. So here I am starting to draw, to really try to get in, draw my own book. And I'm going to do it. I've already drawn Dragon Rage, my first comic book. The only comic book I've ever drawn, I've ever penciled is Dragon Rage. Now I want to draw more and draw more characters and draw more things. I'm drawing covers for other people, and I'm having a blast doing it. And I'm 50, so it's never too late. Any of you guys out there watching, and any obstacle you're going through right now feels like the end of the world when you're going through it, but it's not. It's not the end of the world, and it won't be your end either. And drawing can seem difficult at times. It is. But if you devote your time to it, what I'm saying is you will get better at it. And who knows, you guys out there may have some of the best ideas out there. You guys might have, you guys are probably sitting on gold right now and you don't even realize it. That right now, the idea you've got in your head for a story, it is probably, like a diamond, that's rough right now that you just need to get it out there, and do it, Zebra Comics says, awesome work. Follow up. Do you use shape stencils for contour lines or render lines? Thank you for the tip, bro. Well, I know you draw digitally like me. When I do digital, I use the rulers, all the different type of rulers they have. There's circular, there's oval shape, there's curve, parallel rulers, all kinds of rulers. I use those whenever I need to get a really nice clean line digitally. But I have so much experience with inking with a quill that when I went digital, I freehand a lot of my stuff because I want it to look organic. I really don't use a ruler unless I need it to have a really mechanical, clean look. And I say mechanical because when you do it, it won't have life in the drawing if you're constantly using rulers. You have to, the more you can freehand, the more organic the drawing looks, the more life and energy your drawing will have. And how you get those lines is just throwing lines over and over, whenever, even if you're doing digital, you still throw that line and then it gets recorded to muscle memory, and here's a tip, no matter if you're doing traditional or digital, is that when you throw your line, you you lock your wrist, you lock your arm, and you just throw it with that elbow. You just throw it like that. That's all I do when I ink. Either I'm throwing it in towards me, but it's just movement is right here at the elbow. Oh, I got ink even on my elbow from leaning on the table inking. Look at this. I'm getting ink everywhere. I got it all over my hands, my elbow. Golly. I bet it's on my face. Is it on my face? Ink? I usually get it on my face as well. So you just, when you ink, you just do this. If you have to do short little curved lines, then you can, then you move the wrist. But most of inking is done with your elbow. So it's different than when you're drawing. You have to be in a different mindset when you get to the inking stage. You have to remember the inking, you switch up. You get into your inking phase and you're mostly just that elbow. There is a proper form that you want to use. Just like as if you're in golf and you're about to tee off, you got to get in form. Boxing, there's a certain form and stance. Baseball, anything that you're doing, you have to have that right proper form. Inking's like that. If your question is for traditional, I do use stencils, and for if I have to do things, same thing. I'll use a stencil, and I have a whole bag full. This is my stencils right here. Look. So this is a French curve. These are all different type of little stencils. You can find these like in if in the architect or what is that other drafting? If you have a drafting section in your art store or Amazon, I got those off Amazon for like $6 for that entire package. Extremely cheap, and they have a beveled edge. So always look for a beveled edge or a lip on anything that you're drawing, because then the ink will run underneath it and you can smear it. So you always want that lip on the end of it. And I have tips for if you buy something that doesn't have a lift or a lip and how you can lift it. Super, super easy trick. Since we're on the subject, I know I'm throwing a lot of information here at you guys, but we're on the subject. So look at this, you see these little dot things. I bought them on Amazon. They're just little stickers that underneath they're rubber. And what I did was I just bought a regular triangle like this, and I stuck them all underneath. And I bought the clear ones. They sell them in black, but I bought them in clear so that I can see through and it won't obscure any of the lines that I need to draw. So what I do is I put this down, and it has a little bit of a lip. So when I ink next to it, my ink doesn't bleed underneath. So when I lift up the ruler, it doesn't bleed underneath because it's elevated off there. And with the quill, you have all these little bumps on the end. With the quill, you kind of like this, you'll have these little extra lip things. I can line it up like that to the side of it, and I can ink, or I can put it even lower if I want. And I use it as a guide, just like that. And I can ink straight lines, and you can change the weight and the pressure, and you can even feather the line. But just like I said earlier, in traditional, when I ink it, I approach it like the way I mentioned in digital. I will only use stencils when I want a mechanical line. A mechanical line is a dead line. It's going to have no life to it. If the line is so perfect, it will read like a technical drawing, and you want those straight dead lines if you're drawing buildings and technical stuff like that. If you are spaceships, if you really want that mechanical look. But generally in comics, you want to try to freehand as much as you can because you want to add life to your artwork. And it's just a matter of building confidence. And with repetition, it'll get recorded to your muscle memory. And the other tip that I always say to people, the one thing that no other artist, I watch tutorial videos a lot. I play them as I draw. And I haven't seen another artist talk about this, or an inker, is you have to remember to breathe. We will get tensed as we like to hold that pencil really tightly because we want to try to feel that we have the control over that pencil or the quill. You don't want to do that. You're going to fatigue your arm, your hand. You can get carpal tunnel, your hand will fatigue, or get tired from drawings because you're holding onto that pencil for dear life, like, you're going to do what I say, pencil, and you don't want that. So you want to remember, relax, stay a little loose with your pencil, even your quill, just a good, comfortable grip. And you want to breathe. You want to breathe out. Just let out that air and then start inking. And every now and then, just try to remember to breathe. And if you ever see artists where they go, oh man, I can't talk and draw at the same time, it's because they're so tensed. You're like, they're forgetting to breathe when they're drawing. You like the guys that are so comfortable drawing, you'll see that when they're drawing, they're talking at the same time. Like, yeah, you can just babble on like I do. Sometimes when I'm drawing and you guys watch my videos, I'm babbling on because I'm mostly thinking about what I'm drawing. But you get to the point where you're more relaxed and you're just able to do it and draw it. So always keep in mind that. So it's totally up to you how much stencils you want to use in your work. There is no right or wrong when it comes to artwork, really. Artwork does have, technical things in art that we have to use, and there's fundamentals and things you want to learn, but really the style of art, how you approach art, what works for you and what you like, nobody can tell you that it's wrong. It's right for you, so that's the answer to that one there. Zio, thank you for all the advice and link. You got this. We'll follow through. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sam Reed says, yeah, I think in Asia they use reeds and bamboo for calligraphy pens and drawing. Yeah, there still are. There still are so many out there that still do use very, very classical tools like bamboo. I've seen that. I've seen some people still writing calligraphy with an actual crow quill, a crow's quill, and I just go, wow, that's skill. I find my digital skill leveled up when I switched to trad for a while. Not sure what that is. I don't know what trad is, but switch to traditional is what you're saying. I find my digital skills level up when I switch to traditional for a while. The same thing for me, vice versa. I was able to, because I learned to draw traditionally. When I came digital, I just had to learn the software, and there was a little bit of a learning curve, but I already knew how to draw, and it carried over. And then I found that I got more confident throwing these lines digitally. When I went back to traditional, I forgot my fears and insecurities in traditional inking, and I was throwing my lines the same way. And then one day my wife just said, "Oh, that looks great. You're doing really really great. I thought you used to say that you hated doing that part of that inking right there." And I went, "Oh yeah, I used to. Thanks for bringing that back. I forgot. I was afraid to throw these long lines freehand, and now I just throw them, and I don't even think about it. I didn't even realize it. So yeah, it can work the same way. Digital, even digital helps me with my traditional inks, and so I do appreciate that. Stealth X5 for $2, man. He says, "Hello." Yeah, Stealth X5. I appreciate that. And Stealth X5 is who commissioned me for this piece. This piece is going to go out to him. I will have it finished today by the end of the night, and I'll send you either Thursday or Friday. I'll send you a scan of it, so you have a scan and get to look at it and stuff like that. And then I'll let you know before. I'll make sure I'll send you a tracking number. I have these things I should show you. Let me see if I have them here. Yeah, I do. So I just made a mess, and all right. So I'm gonna show you guys here. If you guys do original artwork, these guys are not a sponsor, so I'm not paid for this. So you guys have seen, like, if you order a comic book, it comes in a flash mailer. So when you get a original artwork, right, from me, and anybody out there who's doing original artwork, if you're doing original comic book artwork, 11 by 17, I highly recommend cardboard brick mailers, right? I mean, sorry, it's turning into a commercial, but I'm not sponsored by these guys. I'm just sharing with you guys what works for me. What it is, it's a flash mailer for 11 by 17 artwork that sits in here. So the 11 by 17 sits in here. You put the artwork safely in there, right? Now, my artwork that I send, I actually put the artwork in a sleeve first. I put it in a rigid plastic sleeve, which I don't have one right next to me, but basically like a bag and board. I bag and board the artwork, basically in a very thick plastic, rigid plastic. Then I put it in this. Then when you fold it right here, there's adhesive tape. Pull that tape, you seal your artwork, right? Put your label right here. And for Stealth X5, if you're still here, when you receive the artwork, it'll have additional, I even put an additional tape right here on the side. So you'll have that tape there. You'll have the label here. You're going to see that there's a little tab right here on the end, this little tab. So what you do is you take this tab when you receive the artwork, pull that tab. It splits. It'll split the artboard. And as you can see, like right there, if you can see, there's the ridge right there. It'll split this so that it opens up and you can safely open the artwork. You don't have to take any type of razor blade or any scissors to cut any tape. This is the way that when you receive the artwork, you don't have to worry about cutting into the artwork or anything like that. You just simply take that tab, pull that tab, and then it becomes two arms. It opens up and right in there, you just open it up and there's your artwork. So you'll be getting that in this right here, this card brick mailer. It's very, very rigid. It's a really, you got to put a lot of pressure on that sucker to try to, to get it to bend. And it'll keep it safe because we know every millman out there, there are many millmen out there, not everyone, but most of them out there, idolize Jim Carrey, and they all like to, or they play Frisbee with our mail, throw this sucker out there, but it's artwork that I have spent hours and hours on. So you bet I'm going to send it in the safest way possible to protect it because it's one of a kind. This flash piece up there, even though I drew it digitally, I inked it traditional. So there's only one like that. It's just that right there. And I'm not going to spend the hours and hours again reproducing that same piece. So you're going to be the sole owner of the this artwork here. But all of you guys out there that are watching right now, if you're an artist and you take on commissions and you mail stuff out, where I got these, if you guys are wondering as well, I got them on Amazon. And they come in a big bag on Amazon. And Amazon, they send these in a box. And then you get this big bag like this. See, a whole bunch of those mailers is the way to protect your hard work that you have done, the original artwork. And, that's how I send my originals. So if you ever want to buy an original artwork from me, if you ever want to be commission me, I am going to put up this original artwork. This is the original art to the cover of Radiant Black #1. Radiant Black's very, very popular right now. Very successful book. This is the original inks. Dave Finch has the original pencils because he sent me a scan and we had to ink it pretty fast. So on this one, so sometimes I would ink over blue line. Danny Meeke inked him over blue line. Sometimes just depends on our deadline. But here are the original inks. I have it in a glass right here in a glass case. I'm going to put this one up for sale, and also with the limited edition variant cover. We did a variant cover, which I believe this cover is going for $100 now. I'm going to put that comic book. I'm going to include it with the original artwork, and the comic book is signed by me. The inker, it is signed by Kyle Higgins. So the only person who hadn't signed it was Dave. I should have asked Dave to sign it when the last time we went to dinner, hanging out, but I didn't. I had him sign my other stuff, but that would have been good. If not, you guys can take it and get Dave to sign it. But I'm going to offer that up, and then whenever I sell that original, it will come in that rigid box that I showed you guys. That is something that I highly recommend that artists to have. I train every day to try to reach this level of paint. I love your paints. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, and you will. You're going to surpass me. You're going to find out because I'm not inking traditionally every day. So, it tends to weaken. Sometimes when I go months without inking traditionally, and then I get back to inking, I find that I'm a little loose. If you saw the beginning of this video, not this stream, but the stream before, when I first started inking this, I started a little rough, a little nervous in my line, not as confident. So I start in areas that are not as obvious, where they won't stand right out. And then I ink the face last, where I'm once I build up that confidence. But so I'm not inking every day. You're inking every day, so you're going to surpass me. You will. Just keep going at it, and I appreciate the compliment. And but today, like you said, save this. We'll save this stream. You can look back, TJ Inks. You can look back at this stream and go, that was the day that I wasn't at his level yet. And then very soon, in the very near future, you're going to be looking at your work going, wow, just a few days ago, hours ago, whatever, however, fast you improve, look back at it and go, wow, I used to want to be at that level. Now I'm at that level. And then before you know it, you're going to be like, I'm surpassed Jimmy's inks, and, it will, just keep at it. That's really the only way to learn is to just, go through a bunch of crappy inks. I'm not saying your inks are crappy, but mine were. When I first started, they were crappy. I look back at my first work and I go, why did these people hire me? Like I wasn't ready to be an inker. My work was crappy. And now I don't know. I mean, I get all these clean lines where, I couldn't do it before. And so you just keep going, man. And dude, you're going to be an awesome inker. Mr. T says, how do you come up with story ideas? Oh, I answered that one earlier. That one is just, live life, live life and meet people and think about the things you've gone through in your life, your victories, your adversities. Think of, just like drawing, you draw from life, you learn from life. Well, all the greatest stories you can think of are from life, things that are relatable. Things of, like think about some of the greatest movies out there that you really love and appreciate. Think about the stories that you enjoy. Most of them are really not the story itself. It's the character. We really like the characters. We like the type of personality the characters are. And a lot of those can be, the writers first think of them, they think of them from life, and of course we all have inspiration, the things that we all watch, we grow up, we like. Everybody has. J.K. Rowling's, she wasn't the first to create a school of magic, and she was inspired by other stories and other tales of adolescents going to school of magic, but yet she had her own story to tell. She had characters that she created and how you tell the story. So when you come up with ideas, don't be afraid that, don't think, well, I can't do a story of Frankenstein because there's a million other Frankensteins out there. And, Mary Shelley did Frankenstein, and no, do Mr. T's version of Frankenstein. It's how you tell the story, what your character does in your story, what type of personality your character is, that type of thing, for the character. And then that's what your readers will cling to. Readers will cling to a character. Even if it's not your main character, they will cling to a character that's relatable to them, and that will become their hero. That's the hero of the story. So when you tell a story, you always tell a story from the perspective of your hero, the perspective of your character. And so your reader experiences the world that you're building and the world that you're telling story to through the eye of your character. So, so when it comes to, story ideas, think of characters first, think of a personality, and think of what that person is, that what I say person, because I think of my characters as people. And that's what helps me, but I mean, I've only, this is going to be my first story that I'm writing this year. So it's my first story writing, but I've got tons of story ideas and, out there. And I think all of us do. And when you're, us that are creative, like you guys, I say us creative, I mean all of us, you watching, we creatives, we exude creativity. We're constantly thinking up ideas all the time, and carry a pad, a pen, write it down when you guys get them. I draw mine out. Whenever I think of an idea, sometimes my wife sees me and I get up out of bed 2 a.m. and I grab a pencil and I just sketched it out, and just come up with that. And then you can add things to it, like you can add like vampires, you can add aliens, you can put it in the future, you can put it, but you just need that, come up with a character, and then you just come up with a story, what your character is doing, the growth of the character, the development of your character throughout, and you can put them in any fit in any genre, anything, things like that. And then for me, from an artist perspective, when I come up with stories, I think about what I want to draw. I go, what do I want to draw? And then when I'm working on my stories, and you guys can see, you can even go through my tweets and Twitter and see where I'm posting stuff. When I was first coming up with all my videos here, when I was first coming up with like ideas for Dragon Rage, I've said before, my first Dragon Rage, it was about a girl who could become a dragon. And then somebody mentioned to me, well, hey, have you ever seen this anime about a girl who turns into a dragon? It's an anime. And I go, no. They're like, yeah, it's Rage of Bahamut. And I go, oh shit, okay. And so I bought the season. I bought the series, and I watched it. And it wasn't really the same, but it was about a girl turning into a dragon, and it was totally different story, but it still had that in there. And I go, no, I like to challenge myself. I like things to be unique and different. So I'm glad when people point out, oh, well, they did something similar to that in this story, and I go, okay, great. Because then that gets me to go, I need to do something unique. I always want to do as unique as possible. But like I said, I mean, I didn't invent the genre of dragons and fantasy. So, there's going to be tons of other stories out there that have dragons, but I want to try to tell my stories differently. So I have so I went back to the drawing board, and that was in 2020 in my first Dragon Rage. And, I published it through Page One Comics. And so I went on, I put that on the back burner for a little while, and I went back to the drawing board and from scratch, just thought about, well, who is this character? And, I wanted to remove the fact that she can become a dragon, but I still want to have dragons in my book. And I started to really think about it. And I thought, well, what if instead of becoming a dragon, we always think of ideas of battling dragons. What if they can capture the dragon's rage and utilize that as a weapon? They can weaponize the rage, where they can tap into the powers of a dragon and wield those powers as if they're their own. So what happens is they're the dragon. They've basically have the dragon spirit wielded in their sword. I mean, in the sword that they wield, they call upon it, its rage, and it gives them its power. So they become more dragon-like. They've got dragon scales. They're fireproof. They're stronger. They're faster. Some can manifest wings like dragons and fly. Some of them can turn their swords into fire because that's the dragon breath, dragon flame. And I thought, this is, like, what's different, So I came up with different twist, different take on it, where it wasn't dragon-born. It isn't any of that. It isn't like they're just, half dragon or dragon blood. All that stuff's been done. I thought, what hasn't? What twist can I put on that genre? And so whenever I create something new, like I have a Greek mythology book, I'm going to put a twist on that book too, as well as I'm creating my own pantheon of like demigods, where I'm going, okay, we already know the demigods out there, Percival, we already know that, we already know about, Heracles, we already know about all these guys, but what about making new characters, base them off of, they could be descendants of Zeus, or, maybe even a Titan like Prometheus, maybe, they had children, or Hades had children in Greek mythology. He had two, he had two children, or many actually. Zeus had many, but I thought, I could create new types of abilities and powers and new characters. And I want to create a twist. Everybody always has the same type of 12 Olympians, and it's always about these guys, right? They always talk about, like, it's always about Zeus. So in South of Olympus, the book that I've created, and you can go to southolympus.com and you can sign up if you guys want for that one at southolympus.com. I thought, well, instead of Zeus, why not make a story let's focus more on Hades? Let's do a little more about Hades, because people don't really understand that character. And so I made the story focused on him a little more. And then I thought, people are always talking about the 12 Olympians. Why not take the story away from Olympus and let's come down and talk more like the story with Clash of the Titans. They focused a little more on Percival. I thought, okay, let's also focus on some of these demigods, but let's add to the pantheon. Let's create new ones, because the book is called South of Olympus. It's descendants, and it's away from Olympus. So I always try to think up new ideas. So I'm working on it, and anything right now that I'm working on are still in development. They're not nothing set in concrete. I write a version of my story, and then I rewrite a version of that story, and I try to show. I show people, because I show, like, I'll show people. I really don't worry about people stealing the idea, because people really, I just go, oh, as much, because I mean, why would somebody steal an idea? That's, I mean, they are not going to have my characters. They have no idea who my characters are, how my characters speak, how the dialogue is, because that's what's really important. That's what sells the book, is how you create characters, how you create, is your hero ambitious? Is your hero curious? And stuff like that, and all the type of personalities. Is there witticism in it? Is it witty dialogue in there? And so the same thing. I have another one that I called Darklanders. I actually one day was just watching a movie with my wife. We were sitting around. We were watching movies, and she starts telling me, I like this show. It reminds me of Outlander, the TV show Outlander. And I said, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Outlander's basically somebody from another land or another culture put into a culture other than their own, right? They're not indigenous. So that's what an Outlander is referred, the term for the Outlander. And I started thinking about, well, what if somebody was, put into a world that that had a lot of hidden darkness in it, and I love the comic book The Darkness, and I thought to myself, what if there was a world hidden behind the veil of night? What if there's a world? What if there is a town that appears to be human by day, but by night it's a whole nother environment, right? Like say, like Las Vegas, right? By the day they're sleeping, but at night it comes to life. And I started just thinking about all that stuff, and I started thinking about, what if there was a dark land, like a place where people were afraid to go. And then I just started thinking about, the Wild West, and thinking, and my wife said, yeah, what era would you want to put it in? And that's when I started thinking, well, every time that we do anything about a vampire, it's always, if it's done in the Victoria era, then it's romantic. That's what people think of it as, romantic. Thank you, Anne Rice, and what was her name, Stephanie Meyer, for making vampires romantic. But and I started thinking, it's like, well, I do like the Victoria era. And then I thought, you know what? I want to write about what I know and what I like. So I scrapped the idea of my main character being a vampire. I got rid of that. No, that's not what I want. And I thought to myself, you know what I really like? I like werewolves. I love werewolves. I love drawing werewolves. I would really like to make this character about a werewolf. And I want it to be a story of redemption. I want it to be a story about a father, going through, that we can all relate, as a father, or just a person, somebody who isn't the way that they used to be, and somebody trying to correct the course in their life, trying to change in their life, like my parents. So I said, I've taken from life. I've taken my story idea from my upbringing. I watched my parents' redemption. I watched them go through their adversities or struggles. So I said, well, there's my main character. redemption. I'm gonna write my parents in there. So that's my story idea. And I thought, well, I like to draw werewolves, so I'm going to draw werewolves because I'm using my parents. They've inspired the main character in redemption. I thought to myself, well, my dad likes westerns, so I will put it in a western. I will put a western environment. This guy is going to be a cowboy who's seeking redemption, right? My dad loved all those tales of the outlaw who was trying to redeem himself, right? But the past catches up to you. Those are all the cowboy movies that my dad really loved, and I remember those. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. That's my main character. And my mom likes the supernatural. She likes ghosts and things like that. And I thought, well, I want to bring in a land that is dark, that has ghosts, witches, vampires. It will have all this type of supernatural into it, you know, and that's where my story idea came from for it. And I thought, there it is, Darklanders. That's it. We're gonna see a cowboy who goes from being a regular cowboy and he living regular life, and we're gonna see the story grow through his eyes as he begins to discover that there is a world hidden behind the veil of darkness that is it appears during the day one way, but at night it is something else. And these things are powerful, and these are dark landers. And something happens, and to him that changes the course of his future, and he becomes a Darklander. And so that's mine. And that's the story that, I told long time ago. I mentioned it on the live stream. Some of you guys are like, I've already heard this one, Jimmy. You already talked about Darklanders. But yeah, that was how I came up with it. I just based it on my parents, experience, inspired. And I've got other characters in there that my mother's indigenous. I added an indigenous woman. My mother's a very strong indigenous woman. There's an Indian girl in there, in those things. And, just there's other characters. There's so much more in the book that I haven't revealed yet to the story and idea. But when I drew, what was so cool was I drew up an image and I posted it, and people just started creating their own story going, oh, it's this, or is it that? And I go, no, it's nothing to what you guys are thinking. It's really just a pretty simple story of redemption. It's really about a cowboy who's discovers a whole nother world. And I'm writing about basically, have you ever been somewhere where as a child, we moved a lot. So I was always in a strange place and always had to find my way around somewhere new. And that's gonna be this cowboy. He's taken out of his comfort zone, put into a place he doesn't know, but he's put into that neighborhood that I went through, that I spoke of, where I would walk down the street, I'd look right, and somebody would say, "What are you looking at? What are you looking?" And they would try to, I'm unhinged, I'm dangerous, don't mess with me, because they were just trying to scare you away from whatever their insecurity was. And I bring in life into my comic book because my comic book character finds himself in a land in that dangerous neighborhood that I was. So my story idea, in a nutshell, to answer your question, Mr. T, because I feel like you're trolling me. But I would say, like I said, I always like to start dialogue, even if you're trolling me. Because you're a human being, I like to treat people like humans, first of all. And then if you guys say, hey, you guys just go on your narrative, have an agenda, then I disengage. But to answer your question, my story idea came from my life, my upbringing, my parents' situation, my childhood growing up like that. And I took things from the life that I experienced, and I put it into whatever genre I wanted. I added the cowboy, the Western genre. I can add vampires, witches. I'm even adding a medicine man in there. I can even add in aliens if I wanted to. All that stuff you can add in later, but you got to think of your character, and that's the most important thing, you know. So whether or not you're trolling me, you know, thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. Looks great. And Zebra Comics. And there was another super chat. I want to say hello. Make sure I get that one. Wasn't there? Or did I already pull it up? I thought there was another. Matt LaRock has a tip here. He says you can also put tape on your ruler so it lifts it up a bit. Like I buy these rulers that'll have a little bit of a lip to them, but I turn them on their side. I don't lay them flat like this because I ink with a quill, and a quill, my quill is way over there, but the quills have a long point, so they have to be elevated quite high. So I just tilt everything on its side. I use the metal because the quill is a metal tip, and I want to make sure that I don't scratch the ruler to get any kinks in it. So I always use metal. I haven't tried the tape. Be interested, you know, if you're how much tape you're putting and how you're doing that. You know, that's a really good tip. You should maybe I don't know if you do videos or if you have a website where you can show pictures and like show people how, you know, that's a good tip. You should share that because I'm not saying that all my way that I do, all my little hacks work they work for me, but I'm saying that they're not the only way to do this. And so it's interesting to find other ways that you guys do that. And I was just showing the way that I do it doesn't mean that it's the only way. So if you have tips like that, little art hacks, you know, you should definitely, if you're okay or comfortable with sharing them, you should. There's so many people out there that would like to let me catch up to you guys here. You know, be able to learn all that from you know, share all that. Black Tiger for $5. Art question. Working on a drawing digitally, how would you ink sheer materials, i.e. pantyhose? I want to render it out without relying on soft brushes. To render a pantyhose, I would, well, I know, okay, soft brushes, like, I mean, like you could even do like instead of a soft brush, you could use a hard brush and do a dry brush effect to render out some type of pantyhose, or you can create a pattern. I would definitely work on the pantyhose on a separate layer, and then you can lower the opacity on that layer. So I would render whatever it is you're going to do underneath, and any line work, any rendering. And then for the pantyhose, either you can get I really not too big on stamp brushes, pattern brushes, but for something like that, if it's going to be, you know, like a type of pattern on it, paisley or whatever patterns that women's pantyhose can have, you can buy a brush, get a brush. You can go on Clip Studio if you have Clip Studio and get a free brush, or even just Google for some pattern brushes for Clip Studio for free and put your pattern over it. Like this. I'll even share with you. It'll take me a minute to power up right here, and I'll show you guys some of these pattern brushes, or maybe I'll even try what you're saying. I'll try, let me pull up something here that will practice pantyhose. That's very, very interesting. I want to try something like that. So let's see. Let me just turn on Clip Studio Paint real quick, and we'll give that a shot. See how that works. Art Station. Yes, thank you. Alpha Channel said Art Station. So post your work there, guys. If you guys can, post it on Art Station, and let me put that back there. Let me get this over here. Let me I'll open up a new page. We'll draw a leg. We'll draw a woman's leg here, and let me come over here to share it. I've got to get running here. Literally, I've got to go run, walk. They want me to exercise. So I've spent a lot longer here than I realized. But when we talk art, stuff like that, boy, can I keep going. You know, I love when we talk to art. So the question right now is about pantyhose, right? How to do sheer. So let's draw the leg first real quick. And Clip Studio, if you're not using Clip Studio and you're using another program for digital, Clip Studio is pretty good. It's good. It's a good thing. It comes with a lot of tool. Oh, sorry, I forgot what I was drawing. it comes with a lot of tools, and I would highly recommend. And it also comes with a lot of, which I don't really use. It comes with a lot of these 3D asset stuff, like you can see over on the right. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff. So I went online and I thought, oh, cool. I'll try to download some of this stuff, extra stuff to it. And the 3D stuff on it, on some of this stuff, oh man, doesn't work. You know, I don't know how people are using anything 3D on this because it didn't work for me. I don't know how people, they're so stiff. I rather just draw my stuff out. But brushes and stuff, I've been downloading a bunch of that too. I had a bunch of what they call it clippy points. I earned like 16,000 clippy points, and thought to myself, you know, so you can put like this, you can put pantyhose on her if you wanted to. Pattern. Oops. Oh, I forgot I made a selection. Here we go. So this will look more like pantyhose. All right. Hang on one second. I will be right back. You guys can keep looking there at the artwork. I will be right back. My dogs are going crazy out there. I got to find out what they're eating. All right, sorry about that. My dogs are little hunters. They always catch some crazy animal. We're out here in the country, so near the country, so they keep killing little animals. All right, so you could do pantyhose like this. The other idea that I would come up with is I would take a dry brush, make another layer in digital, and I'm going to select the leg. I'm just going to do half of it because I do have to get up and go exercise. And so I'll take a dry brush and just kind of create some of the all right, wait, actually I got an idea now. There we go. Let me rotate. Sorry. I'll try it like this. And so this is just a neat experiment, you know. I think like how would I do this, you know? I was thinking maybe lowering the opacity like that to kind of show a bit more of pantyhose, or do what the classic is. You can do it with line work. You know, do that as a and then maybe just instead give it some, give it a pattern instead of, because really, to be honest, I would leave her pantyhose like this. If you're just going to draw, like if it's the thigh high and you're going to leave it on there, then what I would do is I would leave it to the colorist. When the colorist comes in, a colorist can take like this, and a colorist can come in and add, a nice pattern, and let your colorist handle. And I know you said you don't want to use soft brushes. So the other thing that I would do, if you don't want to use soft brushes, you don't want to use a pattern, you don't want to let your colorist handle it, then here's the other thing, is to always remember, and this is a classic one right here, is to always remember that the thigh muscle is just basically cylinders, right? And based on however the muscles are built on top of each other, they're just cylinders kind of going through each other, however the muscle is. And then there's like you got the calf, but you have another cylinder, and the calf itself is like a shape. So, okay, that looks phallic, but I'm just trying to show, like, basically, always keep in mind basic shapes, right? And this is going to help you when you draw the pantyhose. So what I would do is do the classic pantyhose if you just want to use line work like this. But keep in mind that it should be a curve. So your lines should curve with it like this. Then they're going to kind of change the angle as they start to come through to the knee. Then you rotate your image and you cross hatch it like that. And if you want to shine, well, you can just keep going. Let me show you first. Let's get a couple of these. Fast, crude example. You can make it a fishnet pantyhose. And then say you want to shine right in the middle. You want to show that there's a highlight. Just remove the ink right there in the middle. And you have a highlight. Or you go the fast route like I did, and you can put a pattern on the pantyhose. You can you can always put different, like different flower patterns, stuff like that. You just take a brush, make the selection, tell it where you want it to stay in, and get a little pattern brush. Or you can do the fishnets, keep the pattern brush. You can try, if you want, to do a dry brush effect, lower the opacity. Really what it is just, it's your interpretation of pantyhose. So just, have fun and experiment with it, try new stuff, new techniques, whatever it is that you want to do and achieve, with it. It's, yeah, I don't know why I'm going to correct this, because it's only for an example, but her leg, I made her leg to, you can see where I always end up correcting my work. I know that was a fast example, but it bugged me with the fact that I had her leg I had her leg a little too long, but I will leave it. It's just an example. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me just go through and see what you guys have real quick, because I got to get rolling, get exercise. Glad to hear that you're 50 and just starting to pencil. I'm 53 and want to be a penciler when I grow up. Gives me hope. Yeah, I didn't draw anything. I didn't pencil anything before. I was always just an inker, and now I can now I can pencil, and I'm penciling my own stories, my own ideas out there, and just coming up with different things, different ideas. I've got tons of them. I've got a bunch of uh, idea. I got one for a superhero too that I'm thinking about doing. I always create the characters first, and then I try to think of where would they be, what would they be, what are their powers, what's their motivation, like what's the reasoning, not motivation, but what's the reasoning for them to be heroes. Because if we all gain superpowers, most of us, to be honest, human nature is that we're pretty selfish. And would we be superheroes? Not many of us out there would really be able to. Do we even care for others? How much do we care for others? How much good are we doing right now? And if we had superpowers, would that change anything? Would that make us want to do things for others, or would that make us do things for ourselves? So that's the question I ask myself when I'm creating these superheroes. Matt Barr says, am I blocked? I'm not sure where you're blocked. You're obviously not blocked here. You're in the chat. So you're not here. Craig says, "No, we can see you, Matt. Jimmy will get the chat and get to the chat. Oh yeah. When I work and I draw like that, I was really trying to concentrate on. I'm away from, over here where the computer where I can pull up your chat, so I don't. I don't see anything else. Oh no, he did. You did right before that. He said, "Keep the grind on, Jimmy." Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate that, man. That's cool, man. Appreciate that you stopped in, and said hello. Confidence builder. And where can I get those? Was that referring to shipping the artwork? If it was for the rigid mailers to ship original artwork, that was at Amazon.com. If it was the French curves and stencils, those are also Amazon.com that I showed. Everything was Amazon.com. I got everything on Amazon, even those little things that I stuck underneath the ruler. So just go to Amazon, and it is called, they are called Card Brick. So CARD, like a card, and then the word brick. And you will, you'll be able to, you'll see them. And then I think they only come in that size 13 by 18, something like that. Somebody says, never tried the 3D with Clip Studio Paint. I use Blender. Oh, yeah. Man, I wish I could. I don't know Blender. I want to learn Blender because the stuff that I downloaded, I haven't tried very many stuff 3D in Clip. I just saw since I was drawing a cowboy book, and I saw that they had a cowboy hat, they had an old Western wagon, they had a horse, and I downloaded them. Man, the horse anatomy is not even right. You can't bend it to get the weight to make the horse look at it. I was like, forget it. I'll just draw the horse, man. I mean, by the time you're bending I have to make a video one day showing how long it takes to bend these things and to get it all right, especially if you don't know how to use them. They're all wacky everywhere, and trying to bend the horse into the position, it was a nightmare. I was like, I forget it. I just drew the horse. And so I think I should make a video one day showing how long it takes and outline the horse and then draw and then freehand it, show everybody the difference, because you could tell when you outline that 3D, it's so stiff, as opposed to just, a loose sketch. I mean, it's not going to be 100% accurate, it doesn't have to be because it's cartooning, but, you just do it. And, but I appreciate you guys. You guys all take it easy. Thanks so much, guys, for being here with me, hanging out with me. And Stealth X5 as well. Thank you for the commission. All you guys that have commissioned me, I really appreciate it. I'm working on them all right now. I'm about to get, I'm almost done with the commissions. So I'll be heading back to working on my book again. So thank you so much, guys. You guys all take it easy and keep drawing, keep inking, and never give up, guys. You guys will improve in your artwork, and you will break into the industry. So I'll see you.